All right. Here we go.
Oh, it's 11:12.
You got a microphone there? You live?
Hello, hello. Sounds like it.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Thursday, Cannabis Patient Awareness Day here at the New Jersey State House. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hold on. Let me get Instagram on board. Instagram, you are now live on Instagram. Welcome, everybody. Oh, I didn't set this thing up, of course. I'll go back. You do.
Squad, I'm gonna get mine. Go do the crime if you can't do the time. Don't tell me how you're off and down. When you're smiling in my face, but you play me like a clown and you fool, bitch. So just the fact, I'm mad that when I come down straight, thought you were my piece, but you play me out. Now I'm mad as hell, and I pull us out. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Let's roll.
None of that matters.
It's all about this,
Yeah,
man.
but
It's all about this.
That's the part that
It's all
matters.
about the money.
It's all about this.
Yep.
But to
That's
stick,
what it's all about.
It's disgusting.
So
It is.
don't just like do QR code and appreciate that.
Yeah.
But if you share that, people don't know it's information. Senate President is not allowing a medical cannabis bill, to be heard, meaning he's depriving his Senate colleagues of the information they would get from it. So he's keeping the information of why we need it from being heard legislatively. He's a rat.
Oh, yeah. It's ridiculous.
You know, and I go to Breakwater.
I got headphones on. I can't hear you.
We're podcasting live right now, so we're being rude to people who can't.
Sorry.
I go to Breakwater.
Oh, yeah.
$15 a gram, $17 a gram.
Yep.
And then you look at Pennsylvania, I get the emails from Zenly for Pennsylvania. That's half the price.
And it's
Half the price.
In many
Half the
cases,
price.
the same multi-state organization supplying both.
Correct.
Yet by the time it gets to their individual patients,
And it's not very good quality.
yeah.
It's not the best quality for what you're spending money on. It's not the best quality. That's why I go to Breakwater, because Breakwater, at least they take the care and time, but you pay for it.
Yeah, but also,
you pay for
the easy route here is, why are we an outlier state? All other states except one that followed our lead, Delaware. Every other state that allows adults to consume cannabis allows their patients to grow.
Right.
Every one.
And some states are up to like 10 or 15 plants, right?
One man,
Right.
Senator Scutari, is keeping it from happening. Here's the deal.
So here's what we do. We go to the polls and we vote his ass out.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
But
That's what you do.
Wait,
you vote his ass out. You get him out. You get him out.
Okay.
You vote him out.
Okay, that's the part, like in an outline.
it.
The A. Now hold on. Under that, beyond that, you don't just do that. You have your own senator, who's not Senator Scutari, likely. You have to tell him,
Or her.
I want, or her. Good save. You have to tell that person to talk to their Senate president. They're beholden to him. But here's the deal.
It's been used for over 5,000 years.
You have not
over 5,000 years.
If you haven't, hold on. Yeah, because this is the part that's going to help. If you have,
as soon as I get in the car.
If your senator hasn't been asked,
Tobacco. I don't like the.
hey, listen, let's get serious. Yeah.
Sorry.
I got my one hitter.
Sorry.
I got my one hitter.
What I'm trying to say is your senator has never been asked, your own senator, your districts, has never been asked by any of his or her constituents to ask Senator Scutari to let this bill be heard. Now, you have the right to call your senator saying,
I speak to my senator all the time. I do. Whenever I got a problem with the state or anything.
I'm asking you.
Huh?
Who's your senator?
Greenstein.
Oh, wow.
Linda Greenstein.
She's great.
She's great. But will she be good enough?
Yeah.
Then if you say, have you ever actually asked?
Everybody's got to get the balls.
Hold on.
They got to get the balls.
Oh, come on.
They got to get the balls.
No, you got to really let me finish what I'm saying, because I'm asking you to do something. Just ask her to ask Senator Scutari for you,
Yeah, that
because
would
he
help.
won't take your calls, to please allow the bill to be heard and then let you know when she has.
Just a hearing.
You
Yep.
can do it.
Just a
You
hearing.
would be my hero
You would,
if you
yeah,
do that.
you can help because you're a
You
constituent.
would go on a wall of fame of about 3 people that bother to do it. I think you're just the guy for it myself.
Yeah.
I mean, look at you. You're here.
You walked over. You
you
said,
got-
"Hey,
I'm
what's
here
going
because
on?"
I had a job. In
Yeah, yeah, but you got the
Oh,
right.
nice.
You come with the right attitude. You
Yeah.
know, the
I had a
kind of
job-
person that will.
Oh no, I've been. Look, if it wasn't for cannabis, my wife would have been in a lot of trouble.
That's
Breast
true.
cancer.
Yep, right.
And then my
Oh,
mother-in-law, she had stage 4 breast cancer, and without cannabis, she would. And then I had to go fight the assisted living because
Yeah.
they wanted to lock her stuff up, and she had to go to them and ask to use it.
Yep.
And then I went in there
What?
with the state regulations and laws and laid it on their desk and said, "Now tell me if you're going to lock it up and make her come to you every time she wants to use
They
it."
confiscate it sometimes. They'll take it from you.
Yeah. So I said
Wow.
they stopped that. All right, I gotta
Wow.
go.
Okay, hey,
What's your name?
Mark.
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 I'm Lefty. Hey,
I'm Jim. Nice meeting you,
Yeah.
Mark. Seriously, and thanks for your help.
check us out, sativacross.org. We're on
Yeah.
sativacross.org, and please ask Senator Greenstein for some help.
Yep. That's why I
Okay,
set-
so
that's why I set up a QR code out there by the sidewalk. Who
Uh,
else? There's never been a petition ever.
all right, hold on. Welcome to the State House.
Are we beginning now?
Let's start again. Good.
Oh, come on, play the song over again. You have to.
All right, happy Cannabis Patient Awareness Day. It's 7:10.
Yeah, that was a test run. We weren't due to start at 12 today, but we'll start early just for you.
I want to hear that. I want to hear what you have to say.
Bring in the boss squad. I'm gonna get mine. Go do the crime if you can do the time. Don't tell me how you all get down. When it's all in my face, but you play me like a clown. It's your fool bitch. So just in fact, I'm mad that when I come down straight, I thought you were my piece, but you play me out. Now I'm mad as hell. And I pull us out. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty. Let's roll.
It's Cannabis Patient Awareness Day at the New Jersey State House.
I'm back on the scene, it's time to get mean, I'm a lean. Revolution machine, won't watch people stand, they sweat. 1, 2 day is good as any day. Y'all feel slightly this, let's resist. Raise your fist and pulse like this. Promises over the top. Don't cross the line, but you know it's right. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty. Let's go!
Cannabis Patient Awareness Day. Cannabis Patient Awareness Day. Cannabis Patient Awareness Day. 710. Cannabis Patient Awareness Day. 710. Cannabis Patient Awareness Day. 710. Cannabis Patient Awareness Day.
Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty! Let's roll! Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty! Let's roll!
Smoke. I picked that apple.
Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty! Let's roll!
Yeah.
Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty!
I got better audio.
Let's roll!
710 is Cannabis Patient Awareness Day.
Who you wanna roll with? 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 Who you
710, baby.
Damn, I got dizzy doing that.
You eat it. You eat it.
Okay, am I correct? That's Wayne Barini. Is that?
Yeah.
It is, right?
I had more samples on the other mixer,
Yeah.
so I only have one sample for this mixer right now. Sorry, but it's a good one.
It's the perfect,
You eat it.
it's the perfect thing to play. Like if you knew he was here when he might want you to push that. You know?
Oh man.
Well, it's okay to continue mourning a very recent patient loss, one of the bigger players. To begin a podcast, National Patients Awareness Day. You know, and this is like a third year, a fourth year, a third?
I think it's the fourth.
Fourth, I think.
Third or fourth.
The thing is, it's like almost like having a reservation. You know, there's cannabis day is April 20th, 420. So cannabis oil is widely used among patients, especially with cancer and some really serious diseases. So I'd say they're the primary, not just user of oil, the recipient, but the one who would need it most if there was a limited supply, hypothetically. So anyway, 710, you know, upside down, oil. It's Cannabis Patient Awareness Day, and I've made various incarnations of it. And this one's a little, I want to say low key compared to last year. It's sort of like, one, you got a whole bunch of shit on your plate, more so than when we first incorporated this, like it'd be something to do. But you and I both say it starts with showing up.
Showing up.
Yeah, so
That's
there's plenty to discuss on Patient Awareness Day. We may come up with some calls from people in other states.
Yes, we have a couple of people calling in. We have Leo Bridgewater calling in at 11:30, and Derek Shirley, Getting High with Cats from Maine, will be calling in.
Well, Leo's from New Jersey, so you know, but he's the man. You know, I'm glad he's going to call in. Got stuff to talk about. But what we're doing here is setting up this wonderful display. It makes me laugh.
This is a huge rat.
You know. Oh well, yeah. I don't know if you could.
Oh yeah.
Now that I put the video up just to show the setup.
Let me show you what this looks
some
like.
Pictures.
Give me a minute here. All right.
I envision one day somebody's gonna have, like, I have a birthday fundraiser on Facebook for Sativa Cross every year. This year it got $25. It got 185 one year, 85 one year, 220 something one year. You know. So I'll do you a little promo here. If you're on Facebook, there's a thing called fundraiser. It isn't any work, but you can dedicate it to Lefty, and people can give money. Yeah, here's a good view of it.
Hold on, I gotta.
And you can stop it and, like,
Give me a second here. Hold on, I gotta stream it. Hold on. Present. See, you made it easy for me, Jim. You made it very easy. All I gotta do is share screen, Facebook.
I made something easy for somebody, technically speaking. I set up a QR code by the sidewalk.
There it is.
Old people rule, man.
Make it bigger.
In our own head.
All right.
Yeah, we're the only game in town.
So here it is. There is a petition, QR code right there. Petition. Cannabis Home Grow. And then we got Trenton has a rally. And then we have Rat Tower right here. Yeah. Trusted me. So all you people that were kissing his ass, we told you so. We told you. Well, you don't listen to us when we tell you. We know who the bad players are in this game. He's a bad player.
Today's an anniversary.
Oh, what's the anniversary, Jim?
It's a half anniversary, but you can have half anniversaries up to 5. After that, you're not allowed. This is the 3.5-year anniversary today of Senator Scutari becoming Senate President Scutari. It's 3.5 years ago today he got the gavel that allows him to not allow any medical home-grow bill to be heard in committee. The first step in a bill becoming law, the gate. He's the gatekeeper, and the gate is closed just because of him. Now, the thing is, not just can a Senate president do that, a Senate president that's been making deals for 3.5 years, including, by the way, I think an ex-chief of staff going to be a member of the CRC coming up.
Oh, what's his name?
Loeffner.
Oh, yeah.
Harris, I think.
Okay, so that'll be one of Scutari's
one,
lackeys.
and maybe 2, though. You know, it's like stacking the court or something. And the thing is,
Very Trumpish.
honestly, yes, I'm seeing national model being followed where even the best people, even the people who are doing everything they can for us, and they are. Let's start at the top. Senator Troy Singleton. He's doing this. He asks, as a matter of ceremony, it's already a given what's going to happen, but he needs people that can say things that he can't. That is us. New Jersey has a rat problem. We don't just call him a rat because he's not allowing this bill to be heard. We call him a rat because he was Senate medical cannabis patients' biggest hero. He's the one that helped get the bill going. Hold on a second. What are you doing here?
Sorry.
I'm on a run.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but that's like
Okay,
indicating it's a bad thing.
Sorry. You said, okay.
Wow,
You're
man.
right. I'm just,
I got to light this up. I need another push. I'm smiling if you look.
I'm trying to fix the sample. I didn't mean to play it that loud because
Yeah.
I'm trying to fix this the way it goes. Yeah, I want to be able to do that. So okay, that's good.
All right.
I'm going to add another one. Sorry, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put that up there.
You know what?
I was trying to do
No,
it softly. It didn't work.
There's a lot more of that bottled up right now. Well, all you did is just like you put your finger in the hole for a second. The bottle. You know what I mean? It's a. My point is, it's the rat. The explanation. The rat is a union symbol. So, like when somebody breaks a picket line, you know, they consider him a rat. All right, so that's well known. This is Jersey, you know. We're in the capital of the state that's known for this shit, right? So, when Senator Scutari of 2004 and 5 used Reed Gusciora, Assemblyman Reed Gusciora's bill that he had written first in the Assembly. That was Reed Gusciora's bill based on the MPP's model. But Senator Scutari, brand new Senator Scutari, County Prosecutor Scutari, realized what an inroad this is. So he grabbed the bull's horns on that one and he actually overrode the wishes of the Assembly leader.
Prosecutors do that.
He did that and posted his bill before. They didn't want to post it till I think the lame duck session or something. But anyway, whole thing went on. He took control, and then the bill had 6 plants for patients, and he got that through the Senate, passed on the full floor of the Senate, going before the Assembly. He got home-grown provisions passed. He did his part. He did all he could. He did everything he said he would and more. And patients rightfully revered him for that. So, come the Assembly time to go, he had the rug pulled out from under him by Assembly Health Committee Chairman Herb Conaway, Dr. Herb Conaway. Now, while I'm sure Senator Scutari and Reed Gusciora, while I'm sure that well placed. Well,
I got it now. I got it.
You know, I'm sure that Senator Scutari found out why, and things go on that we don't get to know about. So that's the way it was. I agreed with him then when he decided that we should get patients off the battlefield as soon as we can, as many as we can, as soon as we can. So if it's without home grow to do it, he did so, saying so in the hallway. I got witnesses that we could revisit home grow provisions for patients once the program was up and running. I don't know if up and running, working smoothly, something like that. So what happened?
$1 billion? $2 billion?
Well, good.
Is that up and running?
So patients are good. He's still here. What can he do? So,
There's Leo.
so after what, 3, 4, 5 years, it was like, wait a minute. The program's up and running. Why hasn't Senator Scutari, our hero, written the bill he said we could revisit? He said we could revisit it.
Leo, do you know? Hi, Leo. What's up, Leo? Leo, maybe Leo has the answer.
Yeah, this is like going to be a lot of little rants going on today. The 3.5-year anniversary of Senator Scutari becoming Senate President Scutari, because that was on the 11th of January, 2022. And yeah, it's really getting under my skin about it's not about how good the bill is or isn't, whether other states have it or don't, why we're an outlier state instead of doing what other states are doing. It doesn't have anything to do with any of that if you can't get the bill heard. You can't have a proper, by definition, well-informed opinion of this bill if it doesn't get a committee hearing. So one man blocking that hearing is in his Senate colleagues need to have, by definition, a well-informed opinion, yet he has the balls to say there isn't any will in the Senate to pass this bill. That's ballsy. Keep them from having the reason for the will, right? And now and not explaining. We're right here, you know? So everybody has all these plans, and none of it matters if that blockade's up. None of it.
Well, first and foremost, I gotta say, a lot of memories coming back to me now, seeing you guys in front of at the State House.
Look at the
Like, it feels like the band is back. You guys are out at the State House, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so it feels like the band is back, during the Christie days. Secondly, I will say, we know, New Jersey's a $1.5 billion a year industry. Okay. And mind you, we got here by asking a bunch of Flintstones to write rules to a Jetsons game.
I like that. Yeah.
We asked 5 people to fly a plane and build it at the same time with one arm tied behind their back and an eye patch on their eye. And that's the CRC and the staff of the CRC too.
Mm-hmm.
And mind you, we short-staffed the CRC too.
Yes.
Okay, like they're severely short-staffed, and then they still did it. But then after they did it, we dumped hemp in their lap and said, "Yeah, now that you gotta make the rules for that too now."
Yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, illegal to buy from an unlicensed source.
And I was going to say, and then, so now, with that being said, then, and again, like to your point, there was all these things that were said by Senator Scutari in terms of when it comes to home grow. Okay. And my thought process is that we've said for years the impact on the industry by having home grow is not it's not going to be noticeable. The only people who genuinely, outside of your regular connoisseurs, the only people who really, really grow at home like that are patients. Okay. Now we get home grow. In the beginning, you're going to have a whole lot of people trying to do home grow. One time.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you, you know what I'm saying? It truly has to be in your heart if you want to grow.
See, the thing is, something will grow for everybody, but that's the sick joke of it all. It's not just that you grow something; it's what do you actually end up with in your end product.
Right.
And the difference and even within growers, that last little percent, there's a sweet spot for patients where they have enough information to do that. But don't you think, and tell me what you think about this, because I ride New Jersey for all sorts of stuff. I was sitting in the state capital of the where's my slice state, you know?
Mhm.
And I think the nicest group of people I've ever met are people who are growers. I don't know why that is. They're just, and they're very willing to share their information. It's not like they might have a little secret here or there, but for any grower who knew there was a patient whose life might depend on her growing something good, would they not at least offer advice and maybe help setting it up legally? You know, if it was allowed to happen, I think there's a lot of good people that are going to help make it work for basically expenses. In other words, if it's like somebody helped somebody grow a plant and it cost them getting there and back freaking $100, it could be arranged and it wouldn't even be the patient that would have to do it. There's a lot of good people that want this to work because it is a healthcare issue. And seniors are the greatest increasing sector of this because they have more health issues than young people. And now the stigma is going. What are you kidding me?
I ain't gonna lie. I was sitting there like I want to see him take a dab. I mean, if he really gonna do it, Lefty, I was right there with you, bro. I really thought I ain't never seen Jim do it, but I thought we was about to see something.
I just was missing the mute button that you have probably on your end or whatever, you know, because I got 73-year-old lungs too, you know, and they started tasting this when I was 18.
Damn. Okay.
Late bloomer. But
I'll say this because you're absolutely right, and I think there's you got the spiritual aspect of growing, the holistic aspect of growing, the cultural aspect of growing, of home grow. You see what I'm saying? And people cultivating their own medicine. But you have to remember, Jim, this is New Jersey.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you guys know what the number one industry in New Jersey is?
Pharmaceutical. No.
What?
My hand in the air?
No. What? What's the number one industry in New Jersey? Poverty pimping.
Poverty pimping?
Poverty pimping is the number one industry in New Jersey. Okay? You have to ask yourself, whose interest does it serve? Who loses money by having home grow? Well, you got the pharmaceutical industry, okay? And then when you think about it, when we legalized, we went from 25,000 arrests a year for low-level, nonviolent minor possession of cannabis. 80% of those arrests are people who look like me. You know what I'm saying? Then you have 80% of all use of force by police officers being enacted on people who look like me too. So,
well, they just don't like handsome people.
Yeah, and so it wasn't just. So we didn't just take $145 million a year away. We took a whole lot more than that.
In industry,
because you guys have to realize, that there are a lot of reputations and careers and all this stuff was made off of cannabis being illegal. Just take a look at the governor's the governor's budget recommendations. Majority of that CEF money is going to Department of Corrections for anti-gang violence programs, all these different anti-violence programming and all this other stuff. Now, you're sitting at the state capitol in Trenton, New Jersey, which is only 7.5 square miles, okay? And within that 7.5 square mile radius, there are 330 churches and over 500 501c3s. All right? So he did it. He really did it.
He went back for more.
Wait for it to be.
Why?
It's got to vibrate.
It's not.
When it vibrates, it's ready.
Yeah, it goes when it goes.
There it goes.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jim.
It vibrated? Did you feel it vibrate? Oh, yeah. There we go.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy.
There we go.
Yeah, boy. So within that 7.5 square mile radius, there are over 500 501c3s and over 330 churches. Yet Trenton keeps breaking its murder record. So if everybody in the city of Trenton, and listen, what I'm saying, you could take out the name Trenton, and you could put in any community, Patterson, Newark, everything, and it still will apply. But if everybody in the city of Trenton were to level up just one, Jim, then do you know how many jobs would go away? Do you know how much money, how much grant money would go away? If there's no violence in Trenton, then there's no need for anti-gang violence funding. Now they want to fund anti-gang violence. The governor wants to give a massive amount of money to the Department of Corrections and law enforcement, okay, but will not put any money towards funding the Cannabis Training Academy, the first of its kind in the country, okay? Right now, when you look at the cannabis industry, it's also oxymoronic too, because the number one investor in the cannabis industry in the state of New Jersey is actually the state of New Jersey. When you think about
what
millions, when you think about the millions that were given out in the grants, when you think about the millions spent on getting the Cannabis Training Academy up and running, you see what I'm saying? No state, including California, has invested this much money in the cannabis industry fresh out, because right now we're only 4 years old.
Yeah.
So when you think about that and understand, we're actually leading the country in terms of what we've done, how we've moved the needle forward. But if you listen to the governor, if you talk to some of these folks in that state legislature, you never know it. Half of them have no clue what the hell is going on. They don't want to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to, so there's all this, one step forward, 2 steps back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back going on with this. So it's really interesting. All the while, patients have not gotten home grow yet.
They haven't got a home grow hearing.
We just want to hear
the hearing, the information.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all to me, it's sort of like all the arguments that make sense and are logical, which that's half the problem because the logic doesn't apply a lot, but it are really irrelevant. It's like not having the keys to your car and planning where you're going to eat that night once you get there or something. But for 3.5 years, when does the bell finally go off? Generally speaking, if there was a poll taken about should this bill be heard or not, it would be in the first 90% had the same opinion. It's beyond belief, which means we know. I follow the money is always New Jersey's best bet. Tell me what you think of what I think about this, though. I think as far as home grow goes, there was a general reckoning after everybody voted yes, saying, what do you mean we can't grow our own?
Yep.
Most people have voted for it because it didn't say you won't be able to grow, but people thought because other states were doing, that's what we would do. Okay, first of all, they weren't following how medical went because we were the first out of 14 states. The first out of 14. So, all right. I like having guests going on, man. Anyway, Leo can't see what's going on here. Oh, yeah, you can. But anyway, what I think about Senator Scutari is he had his hands full with adults saying what about us? What do you mean we can't? And he had a hard time keeping away from everybody.
Yeah.
It died down, and patients, of course, too. But adults, man, they're screaming louder than patients. It was pretty impressive, but it didn't go anywhere. Now there's a steady stream of revenue from adults into the treasury. If the patient bill got heard, 3/4 of what would be heard and become true, because it'd be out there and these would be, by the way, in a committee hearing that people show up for and against, and people are on both sides of the issue on the committee. So nobody gets away with too much bullshit in the committee hearing. Joe Vitelli will call you if it, and somebody on the other way, you know. So the thing is, 3/4 of what would be discovered in this bill would apply to adults as well. You know, I mean, it's the same thing, only for so that would make the what about us way closer. The longer Scooter can hold on to both ropes, the longer adults really aren't crying out for patients. I'm sorry to say, but that's the case.
Well, here's
There's one more thing though. He thinks he got an ace up his sleeve. He's going to say, and he said it before, what I'd like to do is have a tightly controlled, a strict pilot program
Only
with
stage
only the sickest and most hurt patients. There's video, Brown of the Nosy, Spotlight, New Jersey. In 2021, he said that. 4 years later, do you think he could answer the question, would all cancer patients be eligible for this program?
No.
See, it's registered patients that should be in the program. Call it a pilot program. But the state has already separated them. They've already culled them from the herd, validated them with a card of their own. So for a patient with a card to find out, yeah, I got cancer. What stage? 1. No, not till you're stage 3.
Come back.
What the
next
hell?
month.
No, I want. So my challenge to our Senate president, when he says that, is be ready to offer that dividing line. You've had 4 years to run through it. If there's going to do that, let's start with that. Never mind what we think about your program until you say who's going to be in and who's going to be out, and why not all registered patients. You know, simple as that.
Well,
so, we get them to drop the rope, but that doesn't mean it's going to get heard.
Jim, we have to be. Let's take a macro level look at this, right? And understand that I believe, and truth be told, I believe that there's something a little more sinister and a lot bigger going on than what's happening right in front of our faces. And if it weren't for the fact that I've been doing all this traveling around the country, I wouldn't have known it. But it seems to me like there's an effort, a national effort, to recriminalize cannabis altogether. And it's going to look different the way they recriminalize it state to state. So like you see what Senator Scutari has proposed here in New Jersey in terms of making it illegal to sell unlicensed cannabis, but also illegal to purchase unlicensed cannabis, right? That's New Jersey. But did you know that in the state of Missouri, that if you are a medical card holder, if you are a medical cannabis card holder, did you know that if you reach your limit, your monthly allotment, it will be illegal for you to purchase cannabis on the adult use side?
Right.
And they want
now who authored that bill?
That's in Missouri.
Oh, yeah, no. Oh, okay. It sounded very similar to the bill here where I cut in the middle.
Yeah. What I was saying was that it's going to look, the way they recriminalize it, it's going to look different state to state. That's the effort in Missouri. In New York, you see Governor Hochul wants to bring back odor as probable cause. In New Jersey, they want to make it illegal to purchase unlicensed cannabis.
That's what I thought you were talking about. No.
Yeah. And my point is saying take a macro level look at it all and understand that I believe that's too many things that are afoot. Now, the reason why the governor of Texas vetoed the state legislators' efforts to criminalize it was because because it's federally legal, if you do what you do, and if you do what they're proposing in I'm sorry, hold on for a second, guys. Oh, come on. Okay, if you do what they're proposing, then the state would be in direct contradiction with the federal government when it comes to THCA, CBD, and hemp products. You see what I'm saying? So there's a lot of funny business going on around, you know, and
just did the Florida governor. He just signed a bill stating that criminals with records cannot get medical marijuana now.
They'll take their card away.
Yeah. So I say that there's a national effort to recriminalize cannabis, and it's just going to look different state to state. And so these are the efforts. So there may, like what you're asking of Senator Scutari and his rationale for basically completely ignoring it and going about his own route, it may be a smaller part of a much larger agenda.
Yeah, we're missing pieces of the puzzle. I mean, everything that I hear, however much sense it makes from you or anybody or anything I figure out, is always with a heavy dose of we are missing pieces of the puzzle. I mean, it's like trying somebody's Scrabble letters or something, you know? And he's got both blanks and a Z, you know? I mean, but within that framework, there's certain things that aren't being done, like some of the simple things too. How many calls a week do you think he's getting at his office?
Not enough to change things.
Yeah, so like we did something called we Students for Sensible Drug Policy when my late wife Cheryl died. On the big day, they had a phone slam. So while we were in the 3 congressional buildings, bothering people and lobbying, you know, I mean, like hundreds of people, their phones were ringing between 12 and 1. Because if you were in an office between 12 or 1 and the phone rang, and then it would ring again, you had actual backup calls coming in from people you didn't know because they were doing their part too. I mean, it was that easy. It's a phone song. They could hang around anywhere and encourage people, and these are mostly college students. I got to pass on that. You weren't here for the last cough attack. I got old lungs. But it was good.
Hey, what kind of snake is that?
She's a ball python. She's 15 years old. Her name is Rogue. She was a rescue.
Oh, okay. I'm just curious. We'll get to that later. I just want to. Curious. You know,
I'll say this. Shout out to the United States Congress for making it so that the VA can now recommend cannabis to veterans now.
That's big.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming too. I mean, this isn't something that was recent. This is like a decade of, you know, that's how it has to be.
Yeah, and so now, you know, like.
Did you see the FDA just approved mushrooms for veterans too?
Yeah. Recommendate, like, here's the thing. Like, no doctor, be it VA or civilian, can prescribe cannabis. The only thing they can actually do is recommend. And it's very important, and I say it that way because it's very important for us. And I'm talking about all of the advocates and the people as part of the culture. Part of our problem is we don't have proper terminology. We hardly ever are on the same page. And part of that is because we're not using the proper terminology. And so just like how back in the day when if you ask 10 different activists what's social equity, you're going to get 10 different answers. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing when it comes to when we're trying to form policy and actually, you know, talk to one another. We're not using the same terminology. And so therefore, we as a people, what we have to do is we have to get mobilized, Jim. We got to give people. And I know, Jim. I know you, me and you, Lefty. You know, we've been talking about this forever. CMMJ has been talking about it. Sativa Cross has been talking about it. But what's critical?
You and me met about like 50 yards this way.
Yeah, you know what? What do you think of the new digs?
Oh, it's different because now they're entering between. They're not entering by the fountain. They're not entering through the columns there. It's the in between buildings where you enter now.
The new building, the new structure.
Yeah. Now you see these orange dividers behind us.
Yeah.
Right on the other side, well, we have a sign on the other side so people going in know what it's for. But the first time this was open, we had a line of people here. We had 275 people where they were captive audience. It was like really weird and cool.
It was amazing.
Yeah, so we're using it to the best of our ability here, and with a 10-foot rat and a sign that says Trenton has a rat problem, We're not happy about this today. Left and me are actually both pretty angry at the same time.
Yeah, I'm angry, Leo. I'm angry today because we're out here for patients, and we're forgotten about. Even by a lot of the cannabis community, we're forgotten about. Like, it's all about oil today and doing dabs and stuff. Well, 7/10 is Cannabis Patient Awareness Day, as far as
happy 7/10. That's what I forgot to tell you. Happy 7/10. Yeah.
Happy 7/10. Let's make this about the patients.
Oil Day.
Oil Day, which is what patients need.
Well, yeah, having a brother with prostate cancer, and it's not exactly I'm glad I got this type. It's a middle range thing, but the oil that we're able to get him by donation by somebody who really knows what they're doing is like a lifesaver. So it's like oil to patients. It is directly a lifesaver. It's also, I enjoy it, and I'm a patient, but I'm not the kind of patient I'm talking about. I'm not talking about me. So it's become more personal with me too, and the idea that a lot of people know that, and then somebody says, "Where do I get it?" Well, there is oil that you can get at a dispensary, but not not. First of all, what it's made from is even in question.
Well, here's the thing. Like I'm really good friends with the Dank Duchess, and if you don't know who she is, the Dank Duchess was actually trained by Frenchie Cannoli, who the famous bubble hash maker, who passed away a few years ago. And she travels all over the country, all over the world, actually, speaking on hash making and also, judging different contests and stuff like that, and teaches the proper way to actually, wash trichomes off of the leaves, the whole 9 yards, getting it just right, the temperature just right, the washing just right, and everything. And, one of the things that, and real quick, shout out to Fuquan Muzone, who he was actually like the general counsel for the state legislature at one point.
He's the one that had to get 21. He was tasked with getting 21 votes for legalization. Fuquan played whack-a-mole with like a champion.
Yeah. Oh, listen.
Couldn't get 21.
When we were doing the whole legislative thing, trying to get it legal, I remember he said to me, he said, "How do we get them past 5 pounds? How do we get them to see?" And I said, "Well, what you need to do is show them everything other than flour. Show them the different forms in which it comes in. Like if you could show somebody what 5 pounds of cannabis material could make when it comes to oil or hash, because you remember, Jim, back in those days when we were trying to get, we were trying to get them to look beyond 5 pounds, that group then thought 5 pounds was like El Chapo. And remember, it fell by 1 vote.
So what flavor is that?
And that was when we were trying to legislatively legalize cannabis in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And so again, these things, we have to get the general public to understand the difference between legislation and regulation. When you hear the public comment at the CRC meetings, a lot of times, a lot of those bullets are aimed at the wrong people or in the wrong building. They need to be in the State House rather than at the CRC meetings.
Mhm.
You know, you got a lot of people who are pretty much, you know, frustrated with, you know, with the elective process. You know, the fact that this year New Jersey is one of two states who is picking who's having gubernatorial races. You know, us in Virginia, you know, while we have the attention, this would be the time for us to really start getting folks motivated and marshaling all of our resources, assets and resources to bring attention to this. And part of that is us being on the same page and how we talk to one another. That's really the big deal.
Hi, Derek.
Hey, what's going on?
Derek, do you know Leo Bridgewater? Leo, do you know Derek?
No, I don't believe we've met before. How you doing, Derek?
But the little bit I heard, he sounds like we're on the same page. The 3 seconds that I heard, or maybe 2 minutes that I heard. So I sound like I'm in the right spot.
Well, I appreciate you, man.
But I made it on the nick of time. I know I was supposed to be here at 12. Sorry, I'm a little late.
That's okay. Join the convo. We're waking and baking, smoking and talking here about home grow in New Jersey, but you don't have any problem.
Yeah, I got something to say to your governor down in New Jersey.
Oh boy, here we go.
Uh-oh.
Can you stop acting like it's an episode of Sopranos and let these people grow, for God's sake? Honest to God, it's unbelievable. How is it that people are making millions of dollars off this plant and the governor of New Jersey is comfortable with letting people just rot in jail or still getting in jail for cannabis-related charges, especially in New Jersey? I'm a Yinzer from Pittsburgh with a felony, so I know how those good old boys run down there.
Well, what would be the governor? It'd be the state legislature here. That's where the beef is. That's where we got to take it to.
Scutari.
Yeah. That's like right argument, wrong person. We got to take it to the state legislature.
Oh no, I hear you. But at some point, you know, here in Maine, we fought a lot of legislation battles in the state house through our VLA committees, pass bills, block bills, and sometimes they don't. At some point we got to hold the boss in charge and responsible. And I agree with you. You have to do it legislatively through a legislation process. But if the process is already kind of sketchy, why are you trusting the process? You got to hold these, higher ups accountable, because there's a fine line. I think there's a bell curve here. In my experience, do I believe there's corruption? Absolutely. Do I believe it's stupidity more than corruption? Yes. I think there's more people that are more stupid and not educated about the plant, lawmakers or not, than there are corruption. And I think that's what you have more times than not with state legislators. Is it's not that they're all corrupt assholes. They're just stupid more times than not when it comes to cannabis. Brilliant and other features of business in life, but for some legislators, they don't even know the simple fact that you have to flip this plant to flower. And it's like, how the hell are state legislators making rules and regulations when they don't even know the basic concepts of this plant? And that's why I personally hold the governor responsible, because at this point we're talking to people that more times than not, unless we're electing people that we want to see in office like we have done in Maine, it's almost a losing fight every time, because you're preaching you're trying to preach to a choir that doesn't want to sing your song.
Well, I've said in the past and earlier today that in New Jersey we asked a bunch of Flintstones to write rules to a Jetsons game, and they keep fucking it up. And
bingo, brother. That's exactly right.
And that designator, Flintstone and Jetson, it transcends race, religion, gender, and more importantly, age. Because there's a lot of young ass Flintstones out there, and you know who they are based off the words that they use. So if they still saying dope, if they still refer to cannabis as dope and all that, then you've just dated yourself. I know more than you. And so,
I feel the same way. Even here in Maine, we took it a step further, and same sort of dialect as we actually made the word marijuana illegal in statute. So you technically, when you write cannabis laws, you can't use the word marijuana because we deemed it actually racist.
Well, that's great. Now
yeah. So
here's
in any Maine law, so that's how I was kind of playing off of what you're saying. Same thing when I'm reading like local town ordinances, for example. If I see the word marijuana, I already know that ordinance is way out of date because of LD 1958 back in, what was it, 2021 or 22, we passed that. So same sort of concept is like these lawmakers, I could list off a few. There's an awesome Senator Craig Hickman for us. He's an awesome warrior. Yeah. There's David Boyer in our state house, awesome cannabis guy. And there's a few others that are coming around, and there's even a few that are like, hey, I'm not a cannabis business. I don't associate with cannabis businesses, nor do I smoke. But I think what these people are going through is kind of horseshit. And that's the awakening that I agree with what you were saying before I even spoke about, getting people understanding legislator, who to yell at, right?
Yep.
You're 100% right. It's all about making it, localizing the targets. And I mean that in a professional, loose term, not an aggressive term. Right. So it's like, you got to know your state rep. You gotta have, dude, my state rep won't even talk to me about cannabis. And I'm vocal, probably the most vocal person in my state. She won't answer my phone calls. I have to chase her down and play friendly with her when I see her in the halls. But it's all about building those bridges of relationships at that level, at your rep level. And frankly, I think Jersey, and I could be wrong, I don't want to speak out of line here, but I feel like Jersey's at a point, and I think you guys did win at the town council position, if I remember clearly. But you guys just got to get more positions in, right? You got to get your cannabis people in there. Do you guys have any state reps that you guys would say are your cannabis fighters right now?
Yeah, there's a few, but the thing is that in like Pennsylvania legislatively legalized cannabis, and we did it through a ballot referendum.
Oh yeah.
And this is why I say like the beef is really with the state legislature, not the governor's office, because we did it through ballot referendum, which means that we changed our state constitution. So in order to make those necessary modifications and changes and stuff like that, we actually have to have a ballot referendum, which is very, 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 very expensive. And so, which will make it even harder. And so the only other way that we can do this is if we had enough state legislators in the Senate and in the lower house in the assembly that would, to Lefty and Jim's point earlier, they want to at least have a hearing so that they can at least get the information. And you're not seeing that. And so I believe, and I told them that I believe that there's a national effort to recriminalize cannabis, and it's just going to look different state to state. In New Jersey, they want to make it illegal to purchase unlicensed cannabis, not just to sell. It's not going to be illegal just to sell. It'll be illegal to sell unlicensed cannabis, but it'll also be illegal to purchase unlicensed cannabis. Now, being that we're a state that just came out of 25,000 arrests a year for low-level, nonviolent minor possession of cannabis, we were spending $145 million a year prosecuting low-level, nonviolent minor possession of cannabis. When you introduce a bill like this, what communities is this going to impact the most and the quickest? And that is the communities that were most harmed by the war on drugs, period. And so now, and I told them that in Missouri, if you are a medical card holder and you meet your maximum level allotment monthly, it'll be illegal for you to purchase on the adult use side. And they want the dispensaries to be the ones to enforce that, to be the snitches. And then in New York, Governor Hochul wants to bring back. Say that one more time.
What?
Using Metric, the track and trace system, by chance?
I would imagine so. Yeah. However the retailers in Missouri would do it, that's what they would use. Yeah. And so, you know, and then in New York, Governor Hochul wants to bring back odor as probable cause. So again, as you go state to state, you'll see that there's a recriminalization effort taking place. It just looks different depending on what state you're in.
And I agree. I agree on that statement for sure. Living in Maine, you know, I'm personally am a felon for 4 ounces of cannabis, so I still carry that felony with me to this day. Yeah. And it's because how it was written, you know, as you guys probably know, is, you know, my charge was attempt to deliver an illegal substance, not a cannabis charge. It's a drug charge, is what it is. And so I got hit up with that in Pennsylvania, and that's what kind of started my cannabis journey. And it all really boils down to, like you said, in state to state, it all depends on what position they are at in their regulations on how much they're going to be jailing people. Like right now, my biggest thing is making people wrap their heads around. Like, I never thought in a million years I have to explain the concept of, like, you know, Chinese people of Chinese race growing cannabis to people in my state. It's a mind-blowing concept to them, that is just like, it just like irks me to death. And my biggest defense recently, because I'm a big data guy, I like statistics to back up almost anything I say. And one of the best things, if you reread the DEA's rescheduling draft, guess who they dubbed as like the cannabis founders 10,000 years ago? The Chinese. And it's just like now they try to make it seem like Chinese people growing is like this huge new crazy sensation, and it's like this air quotes problem, but realistically, you know, people have been growing for 10,000 years, and the fact that they try to say like now this is illegal because we're highlighting it is like, you know, it's laughable to me. Like I said in the beginning, well, like I never thought in my years I'd have to explain that to people. But to me, that is part of a tool of propaganda. Not saying it's not real. I'm not dismissing the fact that, like,
no, I get what you're saying.
It's not real. But it's a tool that they're using to leverage regulations. And I've already seen it at my state level. And that's what, for me, it's just like what's the scariest thing, that you can put out these it's the best part was, you know, for example, there was 3 bills this session just trying to tackle these illegal Chinese grows, right? Guess how many people came to complain about these illegal Chinese grows? A fucking goose egg, dog. A goose egg. Because, like, if it's that big of a problem, people would come up and say, or even submit written testimony and say, hey, this is a huge problem in my community. And no one is actually coming out and saying that unless if it's through via reporter. And I have no problem with that, but it's just like, back up what you're gonna back up. If you have an issue with it, fix the problem legislationally. And no one has been able to do that. And well, for me, I think every man, woman, and child in this country should have a right to grow cannabis. From the biggest gangbangers in the country to the chattiest billionaires of the earth. Everyone should have the right to grow cannabis, regardless of how I feel about what they do in their personal lives. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't care if you're a freaking murderer. You know what I mean? Like, you still have a right. You should still have a right to grow cannabis in your house, period. You shouldn't murder people, but you do.
Well, we talked about it before in Florida. If you're convicted of a crime, you lose your medical cannabis card. If you, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So you commit a crime and you're forbidden from getting to your medicine.
Yep.
You know,
to get opiates.
Yeah, opiates are fine though. They don't take away your opiates or your
no
blood pressure.
No.
Insulin. No insulin for you, you criminal.
Yeah.
But damn it, you can get your Percocet.
Yeah.
When I got in trouble for my 4 ounces, I had to go to drug rehab, and somehow they allowed me to take my Adderall because I annoyed the shit out of them anytime they had a 4-hour meeting. They're like, we got to give this kid something. We can't handle him for 4 hours, not medicated.
Well, you know what's interesting is my son. He used to work for a program that would tutor kids who were coming out of school in the afternoons, after school program and whatnot. And he recently just graduated from high school and was talking about going into education. And I told him, you know, I should have known, because whenever he talks about you know, work and everything like that, he always starts the sentence off with my students or my kids. He'll say something like, yeah, Dad, because my students will cook me if I come in with that hat on, or something like that, you know. And I always laugh at him. But when he told me he wanted to go into education, I told him, I said, you know, it didn't dawn on me until now. But when we talk, you always say my kids or my students. The only people who talk that way are teachers. Teachers are the only ones who will say things like my kids or my students when they're having a thing. And he came home one day upset because he said he has a third grader who he says reminds him of him, but is probably the most brilliant third grader he's ever met. And he was upset because he found out that they wanted to put this third grader on medication. And he kept saying to me, Dad, he doesn't need medication. That's not what he needs. You know, and I said, well, you know, understand, now you're starting to see how the pipeline starts to take shape, and how early they go after these kids to get them started on that road that will eventually lead them in there. If you were to ever go inside the projects, you know, and that's in any city, you know, if you were to ever go inside the projects and actually go into an apartment and you look, when you look at the way the doors are made, the way the cinder block walls and everything like that, it looks like the inside of a jail. And that's by design, because they want folks to be accustomed to be able to quickly adjust to being in familiar area that looks somewhat, they want to be able to have people adjust quicker because it looks like an area that they most likely came from. And that's part of the bigger thing. And I had to open his eyes up a bit just to say, hey, look, take a bigger look at this and why and how this is happening. You know, so again, all things like there are a number of things that we're battling against, you know, to try to change, but we are, and that's in essence, we truly are trapped by the technology of our time and trapped by the thinking of another time. And because of that, you know, you have the way this is played out, you know, none of us will be here to see the penthouse of our work, because what we're trying to do is going to outlive us. And so I'm always of the opinion that great men plant seeds of trees whose shade they'll never sit under. And that's what we're trying to do. And there are so many people who aren't here anymore that were fighting for this, and it's going to continue to happen. I did an interview on a radio show some years ago, and I'll never forget the radio host asked me, he said, well, Mr. Bridgewater, what do you think needs to happen? What do you think what do you think has to happen? And I told him, I said, you want the truth? He said, yeah. And I said, okay. A lot of old people got to die. And he looked at me and I said, wait. I'm not talking about the ones in the senior citizen homes or anything like that. I'm talking about the ones that's in City Hall, that's in the State House, that's in the Capitol, that's in the halls, you know, like all these people, because they're now at that age where this is who they are. This is who they're going to be. And it's going to be very difficult to get them to try to change their way of thinking and their approach when it comes to cannabis and legalization at that, and the efficacy of it all.
And one thing I'd like to add too, and I think you'll agree with me at this point. I don't know you. This is the first time meeting you, so I could be wrong. But my kind of hypothesis too is why we see a lot of foot dragging in cannabis legalization at all in the federal level, or any cannabis movement in the federal level, is simply because they still need to use the prisoners for the slave wage jobs they use in prison. I mean, let's think about it. I mean, you're going to cut after they release and help people don't go to jail for cannabis anymore, which what, you know, I want and say and truly believe. You know, that's going to be a huge blow to a workforce that people don't even imagine that is real. And that's why I truly think it is really to the backbone of why they are not, you know, picking up their feet. They're not picking the murderers always to, you know, work in. They're not picking the thieves. They're picking the non-violent people, the non-violent, you know, and definitely usually cannabis. And to me, that's like, that is why they drag our feet and tell us, oh, we can't do anything with cannabis, you know, everything's bad, because they need to keep feeding the beast of cheap slave labor. And it's like they want to come after and say, oh, look at these Chinese grows using slave labor. Meanwhile, our own government, our own people are, you know, are you know, working for pennies on a dollar because they decide to sell an eighth. Like, let's get real, you know? It's like, and that's the shit that always grinds my gears to this day. It's like, you know, it is all connected in a sense, but, you know, being, you know, and then people don't even talk about the secondary charge of, like, for me, it was just having that felony, being labeled a drug dealer, housing, you know, couldn't even get like government help if I wanted it, license taken away, couldn't get the work license to work. So it's like, I personally, like, I understand that. It's like one of those things for me. It's like, you're 100% right. Fuck everyone else right now. We're fighting for the dudes that are already gone. You know what I mean? And like, for me, that's my thing is too. It's like, people don't even know, like, especially here in Maine, like, I'm from Pittsburgh, so like, I kind of get it. Like you can walk down smoking joints on like any street here. No one gives a shit. You know, in Pennsylvania, like, whatever, that would be, you know, I just can't imagine doing, like, the difference of freedoms and with states is what causes which was causing the illicit markets to begin with. Everyone, like the governments particularly, are always saying, oh, the illegal market. It's like, bro, the governments themselves have created the largest illicit markets in the history of America by making sure these laws, these rules of the land, of the home of the free, are so disproportionate, it makes no sense. Like, why is it you can basically get the cheapest card here in Maine? Like, you have to get the certified scale with his like $500, and then the license itself, like, you can get the cheapest flipping license for like $250, bro. Like, so you could be like doing shit here for like $1,000, you know? That's it. Like, I always see people saying, like, other states, like, $250,000 limited licenses. That is just set up to create your black market healthy, thriving, and stronger. And the government is so ass backwards on this. It's just like, the more everyone's always like, you can't bitch without a solution. So it's like, my solution is like, I want to give everyone the right to possess and to the right to grow. I'm not saying maybe market. I said I'm letting the states decide markets, but everyone should have the bare minimum of having possession of the right to grow from corner to corner in this country, to have some validity and solidarity on some of these laws that the government wants us to follow so bad. And it's just like, the more laws they put into place that don't make sense, the more illicit market's going to be created that they fear so much. It is literally like living in a backwards time warp with like these people sometimes. And I'm lucky, and I live in a state where it's like really cannabis progressive. Like I'm allowed to, between my wife and I, and if you have a patient card and you're over 21, you can have 24 flowering plants between you. Okay, so it's like that's legal. Yeah, and that's very progressive and versus a lot of states, but that's the type of shit like when people see me online going nuts up at the State House, I will dig my heels in forever until they try to budge with my shit up here. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like I know what, like it makes the most sense to have an open market and letting the market decide what they want than it is to be like, oh, here you go, here's the limited and what you get with it was what you got,
Well, interesting. I was in Kansas City not too long ago, and one of the things that I noticed about the way they did things in Kansas City is that you actually have to designate a non-smoking area, not a smoking area. So if it's not designated as a non-smoking area, then you can just assume that you can smoke there.
Wow, I like that.
I know. Yeah, listen. Do you ever if you ever remember watching the Super Bowl, the area where they show the Kansas City Chiefs fans gathering at to watch the game and everything like that? Man, I burnt it down over there one time. That you can smoke there. I mean, I was like, damn, and I do believe that because of that is why you didn't have a lot of people tearing shit up when they won or when they lost, because people was like, yeah, man, we won. Yeah, let's burn it. Let's smoke. You know what I'm saying? So again, we have the benefit that we have is we have frames of references in which when we go different places and we see what's going on, like I was telling Lefty and Jim that in New Jersey, the largest investor in the New Jersey cannabis industry is actually the state of New Jersey. And so because we have a cannabis training academy that's free and self-paced, when you look at the grants that have already been given out, in the millions, to help people get their businesses started and their doors open, I'm at this stage in life now where it doesn't matter what the subject matter is. I'm always asking, what's the plan? Pretend, and it doesn't matter what we're talking about, but I always say, pretend that you're preaching to the choir. Pretend that I 1000% agree with everything that you're going to say. Pretend that my presence right here, standing in front of you, is evidence that I am on board. What's the plan? What's the plan? And it doesn't matter what we're talking about. If you're talking to me about, the wrongs that are happening in Palestine and in Gaza, okay, then in Israel, then what's the plan? Is the plan for us to hop on the plane, fly over into Tel Aviv, cross over into Gaza and take up arms against the IDF? If that's the plan, tell me that's the plan. Give me something that I can wrap my brain around and decide whether or not I will or will not go along with that.
You did that already.
You know why that is, though, right? I mean, my opinion, it's part of it. There's a fine line between, the activism of actual activism and then whatever becomes cool on the internet.
Right. Yep.
There's that fine line, and you're right. There's not enough. I like to say,
Yeah.
What's the plan? Type of person.
Yeah. My favorite. Obviously.
And I always say too many people that are bitching about worldly problems aren't going to their local and state house issues to fix their own town.
Yeah.
And that's what drives me bananas. It's like I respect whatever anyone really believes, even if I don't. You know what I mean? But my thing is, at least have the audacity and the respect in your own place you're taking a shit to complain as well and fix your shit. I mean, like, I know there's no way everyone's happy with how their town is. That's even with cannabis. Like, I get messages weekly about like, oh, how can I, definitely down south, like, oh, how can I get like my town more involved, and or like get like, and I always say the same thing. Definitely in like local towns, like go to you guys know, I don't have to speak to the choir. Go to the non-agenda meetings. You know what I mean? Go to that non-agenda time. That's where it's at.
Well, you know, New Jersey gave, you know, with our legislation, when we legalized and we came up with what the bill is going to look like, the one thing that we all kept saying was this gives municipalities a dangerous amount of power. And it goes back to how we're asking a bunch of Flintstones to write rules to a Jetsons game, and they don't know what the hell they're doing. Now, understand something. We are, as of today, we are 5 years legalized and 4 years of open. And what I mean by that is we legalized in 2020, and then we opened our doors for adult use sales to begin in 2021. Okay, so we're 5 years legalized, 4 years open. So in relative terms, we are young. We are still very young. And mind you, and this is for every state, but we're all asking, you know, we're all still recovering from COVID. Now, I always try to put things in its proper perspective, particularly when we're talking about the state of New Jersey. Okay. And we legalized cannabis under COVID conditions. Okay. We understaffed our CRC, and we asked these people to build and fly a plane at the same time with one arm tied behind their back and an eye patch. And this year, we are in year 7 of the recovery of 8 years of Chris Christie, who was the governor before the current one. And so for us, so when you take into the fact that this is year 7 of recovery of Chris Christie, we legalized during COVID, we're only been open for 4 years. For us to be here, as fucked up as we may be, for us to be here is still a miracle. It's still remarkable. And so it's important that folks understand and recognize. I mean, bro, listen, you see where Lefty and Jim are sitting at right now? On the other side of that orange barrier behind them is the entrance to the state Capitol building, right? The State House, right? That entrance just came open in the last week or so. Okay. But that construction has been going on for 8 years.
That's crazy.
And after 8 years, they finally opened it up and everything. And Lefty, answer me this. That front entrance and everything looks great, right? But what does the street look like?
There's still no wheelchair access across the street.
No. The street where the cars are. What does that look like?
It looks like crap. Everything looks like crap around here.
You see what I'm saying?
No
How you gonna
wheelchair
open up the front of the State House and do all this? And mind you, Derek, we're talking a couple $100 million of renovations being done.
There was gunshots last podcast. There was like 12 gunshots right down the street here. We heard them. The cops came by looking for.
Isn't this like? So you see how half-assed this is?
Yeah.
This is the thinking. You understand? This and the people who thought this. And I'll just say this one last thing, Derek. To your point with marijuana and everything like that, in New Jersey, when we had our ballot referendum, do you know what our ballot referendum question was?
I honestly don't.
Okay. Should the state of New Jersey legalize and tax a form of marijuana called cannabis?
Wow.
Wow. That's the same people, and yeah, and these are the same people, and so the people who thought that up, right? That's the same people. You coming back to them about home grow? You coming back to them about that? It's too much, too fast. You got to understand something. I figured this out talking to a state senator, and me and him got into it, Derek. I swear to God, because I caught it. And he and I were talking, Derek, and in the midst of me talking to him, I saw this part. Like you see right here, this little curved part of the nose. I saw this go up, just a quick, like real quick. I saw it go up, and I caught it, and I said, "Oh shit! Oh, I figured it out. Oh, okay. So you think you're talking to an addict? That's what it is. They think we're addicts. They put us, and when talking to us and everything like that, they literally think us in the same category as a heroin addict, as a crack addict, as a cocaine addict. They think we're just high functioning.
Yep.
But they think that's how they think of us. And so you have to understand when you're talking to these people and realize, and this is for anybody who within earshot of my voice who can hear what I'm saying, it's not the state legislators that you really need to be talking to. You got to talk to their staff. It's their staff. It's their staff. Their staffs are the ones who you have to educate so that they can have that conversation with the representative to educate them. And that's what's not happening.
Maine super lucky, almost none of our representatives have staff. They're all direct.
God damn. Yes, you are lucky.
Don't get me wrong. There might be a handful of senators, maybe, but the majority are all dealing with you head on. That's the one beauty of it, because we do have direct access. But dude, you would think that would motivate more people to come. My biggest thing last session, we had 2 bills that would kill our medical program. We had over 1,000 pieces of submitted written testimony. Right. They couldn't do anything against that. For me, I don't think home grow is too much too fast. If billionaires can grow cannabis, I think, anyone at home should be able to too. And I think I think the more people have the right to grow, the more also it helps even small or big business it helps the average Joe learn the value of cannabis. Nothing will help me more than growing the plant myself. I didn't start growing myself until I moved into my house in late 2020. And I started growing a little bit then. And it really opened my eyes of just like, wow, like this isn't like the quality of cannabis I grow, is not easy apparently. So you learn to understand the value, because that's the biggest thing right now. Cannabis as a whole really doesn't have a grading scale within the agricultural product. We always joke, say trash, mids, fire, top tier, whatever we all say, the jargon of how we grade it in our heads. But until there's like an official grading scale, it's really hard to say what I think is fire is another man's trash and vice versa. Sure. Could there be some things? I said this in another show. Like, I kind of want to know, like what's people actually liking versus like hype. Is there certain strains that people like across the country because of certain cannabinoid breakdowns? Or is it just because a bunch of people post about it? And I think that is another like breakdown of like certain things within cannabis. It's trying to make people learn the value of something they really have no idea, what half the time they're looking at. So yeah, I think it's really the battle of getting involved yourselves, like whoever's listening. Like for me, like I sit on a zoning board of appeals position in my town of Gray. And, one reason I was motivated to do that is because I knew any like odor complaints that came through my city or my town would have to go through the zoning board of appeals if they wanted to appeal it. And I just wanted to make sure I was there. So, and that's a voluntary anyone could have signed up, but it's like those are the type of things that cannabis people should be actively doing, is seeking positions in their towns to fill these positions, to have a and you don't even have to like anything else. It's just like at least have a normal sense that cannabis is not the devil, right? Like you said, not Flintstone people, right? I want at least someone that understands,
right?
Like, hey, you don't have to even love cannabis. You know what I mean? Just like, you know that, like, okay, like this is not like the devil's lettuce. This isn't like the DARE program, et cetera.
Yep. And another interesting thing too is that when I think back to the legalization days, you know, and again, I owe, you know, the foundation of my activism, you know, actually the source code for my activism is actually Jim Miller, Lefty Grimes, and I'm having a brain fart.
Ken
Wolski. Yeah. You know, those three are my source codes. And I can remember, you know, Lefty and Jim showing me how to use my veteran status to move the needle forward within my own state and in my own community.
Oh yeah.
You know, and so that being said, you know, it's opened a number of doors for me, and in New Jersey and in other states and nationally. And, you know, I went down to DC a few times to talk to senators and Congress folks, and, you know, protested outside of the VA down in DC. I was actually on the Samantha Bee show with a number of other activists for cannabis to do a parody, a Full Metal Jacket parody, discussing cannabis with Matthew Modine. He was there too. He was in that parody too. And shout out to Alana Harkin for that too. And Eugene Monroe and Hope Wiseman. And Lee, there was a number of activists who were in that. And if you just type in on YouTube, if you type in Leo Bridgewater, Samantha Bee, you'll see that episode pop up with my battle buddy Jose Balin too. You know, and so we you know, like, this has been a long time coming. We just got to know, again, what assets and resources we have available to us, and know how to properly, you know, marshal those assets and resources and utilize them. And
I always say, it's not always so much about how much money you have; it's the power and skills you have of organizing the people.
Well, you got to pay these people in the currency that they accept, especially when it comes to politicians, and that's votes.
There's two forms: you either pay them or you tell them who's boss.
Well, I always say that it's really
numbers.
It's really the votes.
Yeah.
You know, and if you have, you know, if all of a sudden you have 30,000 people register to vote, and I'm gonna just use Trenton, New Jersey as an example, okay? But you can use this example in any municipality in the country. But if you're in Trenton and you have 30,000 people who just all of a sudden registered to vote in the next couple of months, right?
Right.
What happens is that, and this is what the general public needs to understand. When you have something like that, an event like that, 30,000 people just registered to vote, then that's an aide running into a senator's office, a governor's office, even the president's office, and saying, hey, 30,000 people just registered to vote.
Yeah, our biggest.
Or if you have 30,000 people just vote,
1,000 patients, and that represents 10% of the voting population.
Yeah, yeah.
So I feel that, dude. That's all about the numbers pushing, and you always have to have the numbers to back it up. Like, I was super fortunate that everyone submitted written testimony, so we had over 1,000 pieces of written testimony. That always power in the numbers, and I don't pay anyone.
There you go. So then, if you get those same people to actually make a free phone call and just say, I want home grow, because because Leo Bridgewater says so, okay, then what's going to happen is that senator, that congressman, or whoever is going to say, who the hell is Leo Bridgewater, and get his ass in here now. We need to talk.
Yep.
That's the problem.
Yep.
We're not properly talking to each other, and whoever is advising,
heard from again.
Yeah,
again.
Right.
Whoever is advising these decisions, these lawmakers, is failing them. You know, and that's where that's the part that we have to sort of kind of battle against.
Right.
You know, again, you know, Flintstones making rules to a Jetsons game.
Right. Hey, I appreciate you guys having me on. My phone's about to die in the car. But I appreciate this conversation. It's been real.
Derek, good meeting you, brother. Take care of yourself.
You too. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, later.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's
hey, man, this is like the old days, man. I miss y'all.
This is great. Leo, we love you, man. This is great.
Hey, man, I love you guys. So proud of you. You know, just holler at me. Let me know when y'all going to be out there again, all right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, bro, that was the best podcast ever. I didn't have to do anything. You guys just you just got.
Oh yeah, we kind of took over.
That was great. Just go.
Yeah.
Just go.
Yeah. Jim got to stand his ass up and have a whole damn conversation and everything. You was like back and forth. It was like this is the old days, man. Come on.
No, I'm right here. I have no idea. They're gonna have to repeat everything they just said. These guys, when they sit down, we got a snake. We got a snake charmer over here. Look at the snake. Put the snake up in the camera behind you. Like this is crazy. What a crazy day.
Oh God, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, my man, yeah. I admire you.
That's my mascot. That's my mascot.
Yeah, hey man, yeah. I don't do the snake thing, man. Sorry.
Sorry.
I'm like Kevin Hart.
Can I hold him? I might hold him. All right. Oh my God.
Oh boy.
Oh wow.
Good on you. Good on you, Lefty. All right, I'm out, y'all. Y'all take it easy. I love you, man.
Love you, Leo. You're the best.
Right. Peace.
This concludes our podcast.
Can she do that? Oh no. All right, I got a snake on me. This is nuts. This is crazy. I've never held a snake like I don't think I've ever done this before. This is nuts. All right.
Really, you never held a snake before?
I don't think it's been maybe since I was a kid. Like I had to be a little kid.
I remember when I was a kid in school, they used to bring snakes and other and like tarantulas and other creepy crawlies and I fell in love with snakes. Cool. I got to admit, Jake the Snake Roberts didn't help didn't help with my influence on snakes either. You know, I loved him growing up as a kid, and but yeah, so that's Rogue. She's 15 years old. She's a ball python, black fire morph.
Is she happy right now?
Oh, she's just chilling.
Okay. Does she bite?
No.
They just squeeze you to death. Is that what they do? Okay.
If you're prey, yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe I'm prey. I could be prey.
No, you're too big.
How does she know? Just to try, right? Hold on, Jim. I'm okay.
She's even okay with the cats. Like the cats and her get along good. They don't go after each other.
She doesn't try to eat the cats. That's good.
And vice versa. Thank God.
Wow. Marie and Moses are here. Hey guys, how are you? Grab a mic.
How you doing?
Hi. I haven't seen you guys in forever.
Couple years,
Couple years at least. Probably before COVID, even maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yep.
Yeah. Right.
It was. Yeah.
Wow.
So crazy.
Yeah, I didn't mean to leave you alone, but it's great to have time.
Can you repeat everything you guys said now? Start over and say everything you just said over there. Because I didn't hear anything.
Okay, well, we'll all swear to you.
What were you talking about?
This is exactly it. You realize this is like being a translator and you don't know what's going on. We're all going to say yes. It's exactly what we said.
That is.
And I remember what you said, and I can say it, and you'll nod your head. So basically, do we need to be like mimes while we do this, or can we make it something we haven't heard yet? I've assured everybody that basically. What would you like to talk about? We'd like to start with that.
Yes.
I mean, anything at all. We get to do that.
Yeah, we could do that.
Well, our thing is we have to show up. We ask people
We
to
were
show
getting
up.
filled in. Like, so you guys said that there's a new bill on the desk, and that's being. Should I hold it here?
Yes. Perfect.
All right. You guys said there's a new bill up for voting, but it's being blocked, and so like I'm just getting caught up to speed with what's going on. My focus has been in other places for sure.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's been quiet. It's not like you've missed something that was right in front of you. I mean, it wasn't that at all. And that's
because it's been hidden.
Well, it's a bitch of it. It doesn't have to be hidden because there's no active interest from other senators who support it either. In other words, there's something going on. There's something rotten in the state of Democrat. That's as close to Denmark as I could get. I don't know.
In the state of Democrat.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I'm
so
admittedly.
As far as I heard that I'm not sure when. Sorry, I'm not sure when. Murphy's up for re-election, but as far as I heard, that there was somebody else that we were supposed to be wanting to get in there, a female. Right? Is that the case?
Well, actually, yeah, that's a byproduct of the case. She is about her credentials on what she's had to say about cannabis and medical cannabis are sufficient in and of themselves. But talk's cheap. I mean,
yeah, talk's cheap. They're making promises, right?
That's where it begins. So let's assume that that's true. She's running against a candidate, as I've told you, who voted as an assemblyman in 2016 against veterans with PTSD being in the program legally. Kill your PTSD with whatever you got. That's voted against it, knowing it was going to pass. So it was a statement vote. The question from her would be, what was the statement you were trying to make with that vote? And what would you say to the 900
veterans?
People? Well, there were people with PTSD.
Yeah.
And if I had to estimate, I'd say actually it's probably less veterans than people that don't talk about what it is. And I understand why every time somebody does, it's like everybody's, if that's what it takes, you deserve it just as payback for life screwing you over in some other way, But so anyway, he voted against it. I never said what the statement was, and what would he have to say to those 900 people? I think it was in the next month. In the next month, because they break it down. They would tell you how many people. Okay, here's the list of who we got now, and so PTSD, when it was allowed on the list, reached 900 in like a month. New patients. It was at a time when patient enrollment was going up.
So what do you think? Why do you think he voted no on that?
I think it was a part of, okay, listen, we can't let this vote pass unanimously. We need people to throw a no vote out there. The people who wanted some favor because they weren't up here within their own party.
Yeah, corruption.
They want to
right?
be.
That's what it is. It's corruption.
Okay, but it's like, okay, is that it? Is that what you got to do to be in the club? Okay, yeah. So he did, and I put it in my hip pocket, and I didn't forget. And here it is. So Warren, his campaign staff too. It's almost like Billy Jack. Do you remember that Billy Jack movie? The park scene, the big bad guy, the boss hog, and all. And Billy Jack,
Boss hog sounds familiar.
Billy Jack was the one that knew the kicks and all. Was a real quiet Indian. He's a damn Indian,
No, I don't.
Okay, well, to Billy Jack, he went there, got surrounded by like 30 townspeople, and in comes the main man. Now watch his feet. You got to watch his feet. And he said with such confidence, you might not believe this, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm going to put my right foot right there. No, he says, I'm going to put my right foot right there on your face, and you want to know something? Yeah, what? There's not a damn thing you're going to be able to do about it. And as he was going to say, is that right? In that lightning quick move, he leans back, foot goes up, and then he gets the crap beat out of him. Yeah. But it was that once he accepted that, he won doubly for that, to be able to do that, So anyway,
that's a heck of a story. He gets the crap beat out of him, but it's not about that.
Yeah. So well,
At least you learned an important lesson.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, you know, the closest thing I could say to do I ever did to that was Congressman Pallone. When he died, I had cornered him with Cheryl, and he had made a promise that he would talk with his fellow Congressman Rob Andrews, who thought Cheryl was great and was co-sponsoring a bill, and so when you talked to him about it, and he said he would, and Cheryl died. And I was in Washington arranging her memorial at the Supreme Court that was going to happen about 10 weeks after she died. And I run into Rob Andrews. And I said, did Frank Pallone ever? No, he never did. Yeah, so I did a little ostentatious awareness walk I walked from Seaside to Frank Pallone's house with the memorial wheelchair and a sign about the upcoming memorial or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And then when I got there, changed signs and put one up that says, "Here lives Congressman Pallone. He lied while my wife died." And I had a picture of him together and everything, you know. I went 28 steps, turned away from the house, not looking at the house, 28 steps. And the police came by about midnight, you know. And like SWAT style from opposite ways and all. And, man, I was leaning in. All I wanted was somebody to knock me out, you know. I mean, I could use the rest. I was in a bad frame. There was nothing you could say or do me I gave a shit about. Anyway, but the thing is that was my Billy Jack moment. I mean, I didn't get to warn him.
Gotcha.
You know.
That's all right.
But I did it, and when the police came, they said, people are calling and they fear for their life and property. And I go, that sounds statutory talk. You know what? You might have something there. I get it. And it's dark. Yeah, okay. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll get a cell phone. You tell me where I stand. You won't have me arrested. I'm going to call for a ride. Take about 20 minutes. But you want to have the morning crew get real familiar with the Constitution. And they won't have to read far the First and Bill of Rights. And I got to be here. So you make sure they know that. And I'm going to be back at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'll be mic'd for sound. And somebody will be videoing from across the street. We have all rangers there's a temple there, and
that's not
yes.
knowing the Constitution.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't realize when they took out civics from school. You know, like they stopped teaching.
It's like
they stopped teaching the Constitution and your rights and stuff a long time ago. Nobody knows this stuff. You know.
Yeah, well, a few people actually put it to the test. There's people on YouTube who make a living putting it to test. You know.
Yeah.
But and actually, I do learn. From doing that, but this one was like a year and a half after the Patriot Act, and there was all sorts of extra shit in place nobody knew about.
Just like every other bill ever passed.
Yeah. Well, the 10-to-1 odds was this, that they could use that to arrest me, and when somebody pointed that out, I said, well, see, then I win more. And if they do that, I win more. Yeah, it's going to be penalty to pay, but in the end, we're going to win more on that. And they knew that. So in the morning, I was free to roam. The Pallones didn't go to church. Not right now. I'm talking. They didn't go. I had, I think it was a 10:35 service they went to. I do my work. You know, and they didn't go. And the thing is, in the morning when I came back, they live on Ocean Road, 1175 Ocean Avenue in Long Branch is the Ocean Road, but there's the berms and stuff between them and the ocean. And
I see all you guys have headphones on. I'm wondering what I'm missing right now. Like I was about to borrow hers real quick. What is it?
No, it's like
I've never done this before, so I don't know.
Well, you hear things easier. You're doing great though. I mean, your voice.
Yeah, you're doing good.
Yeah.
Now you can hear us?
Oh yeah, I can hear you now.
See, your voice sounds good too. See, with me, it's like, oh wow, I sound kind of whiny, you know. I mean, in my head, you know, but I am whining, so hey, whatever.
You didn't hear this.
Oh, yeah, right. I did not hear that.
Oh, by the way, that is
I was
the
missing
voice
stuff.
of the late great Wayne Barini, who.
Hey, Wayne.
Yeah, that's him there. That was actually him.
You guys met Wayne,
Lefty,
right?
Yeah.
Lefty lets Wayne have his say. That was him.
Yeah. I also have it here.
This concludes our podcast.
So we can end with that.
I didn't know him too well, but I met him a couple of times. Marie, she knew him.
I met Wayne like once or twice myself.
He was an enigma. He had a big heart, man. I mean, he was a big man, but he had a heart that outweighed that big, you know? And it was funny because, you know, he was not a bobbin head doll for you, you know? He would say, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard to anybody he knows.
Yeah.
But
What are you, an idiot?
But you get to
heard that a lot.
You get to like that because it never came with that venom. It was simply
Oh, yeah.
very few people can pull that off.
What the F is wrong
within
with
a
you,
group.
Lefty? He would always say to me.
Yeah.
What the F is wrong with you? Well, I don't know.
Yeah, but when he would say something about you and you would say, well, why would you say that? You know, it was...
Yeah.
Oh, I'd like to say I saw it about Lefty one time. We were setting up. It was over there, and it was right up against the curb, and a guy comes feverishly up on a bicycle, and like, it looks like... he's like
Oh, that guy, the
ready
keyboard
for our
warrior.
podcast. Yeah, he had a keypad
warrior,
like on his bicycle, like there. Yeah, you called me a keypad warrior. And he came up to confront Lefty. And then he said something, and Lefty...
That was funny.
And Lefty did but why would you say that? And then...
That was so funny.
It was, to me, the guy... Is that a dichotomy? The one sort of thing? But why would you say that, my son? Yeah, you didn't say my son, but it's almost you were like that with him. And it was so freaking disarming to him. Because whatever he said, you went, oh, man, I'm sorry. I can be like that. I know. I'm working on it, though. Say, hey, you want to be on the podcast?
Is that how you
Well,
remember it, Lefty?
Yeah. Pretty much.
And this is what happened. This guy, he just ends up coming up onto the podcast right after that.
He was great.
Yeah, we made friends.
He was great.
We made friends.
Lefty will turn anything into that. It was just...
That was great. That was creative.
It was just
I'll give him that.
two weeks ago, he got a call.
He got me.
He got a call and put it up on there. And it was somebody from the Dover
racetrack. That was great.
A Monster Mile, you
Monster
know.
Mile.
But it was like they got his name on the list. Yeah, we have a 25% of, and he's like got it on so we can hear. And when they explained, she started explaining, because wait. See, I'm a medical a cannabis patient here in New Jersey, but is there a place there where I would be able to smoke my medicine? You know, having a reciprocal agreement. And she right away seemed very properly curious and said, "Can you hold on for?
Let me find out for you."
Yeah, that was cool.
That was great.
Yeah, so she did. Let me find. And we're like, "You think she's coming back? I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see."
You know, she came back and she said, "Yes, I talked to blah 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 blah."
The boss
That's not-
said,
the right guy, and yes, there are. And I thought she said there was two places, but it was affirmative.
Can we bring a bong like this, though? We didn't ask about bongs. Can we do and a torch?
They might have something against glass.
Yeah.
That's great. She had to go find her boss. She's like, boss, these people need to smoke weed.
Yeah.
You know,
Call 'em back.
Where can they smoke weed?
Let's call him back about the bongs and the rigs.
Yeah. But I was what struck me was I went out on some of the very first what they call the Ignorance is No Excuse tour, the I&E tour, and the ones that got me were the police stations. Simple as could be. You walk on in and say, yes, I'm a registered New Jersey medical cannabis patient. I have some of my medicine bought from the state, sanctioned by the state. I'm in pain right now. I want to know, according to you, where is the closest place I can go if I leave here where I can use my medicine?
Here's my jar.
Yeah, and it was funny because you really never knew what was going to happen. Often enough, it would be like they'd look for something from the municipal prosecutor's office. They would go to the county prosecutor's office, I mean, and they would do that. But what got me was one of the very first ones is it was a complex. There was the library, and you'd go over there maybe to get applications. It was like a whole area with a big flagpole, concrete area to hang around there, pass up to it. And he said, why don't you go over by the flag? It was like, yeah, why don't you go right out in the middle, everything, and smoke your medicine there? And I thought, holy crap. Then the one in Atlantic City, the police station decided, well, the safest place would be right across the street. Why? Well, we'll get the complaint. And we'll take our time. You finish smoking, we'll go out and you won't be there. Now I found that to be unique in a way around the world, a little bit humorous. But the one in Trenton,
just go smoke right across the street from us. All right.
yeah,
We'll see.
and well, they did. I wasn't a patient, you know, but in the beginning, over there, we were okay smoking on the Trenton side of the street, just not on the state of New Jersey side of the street. So people at the podcast who were patients would walk across the street. I found myself right across, this close to the road, and looking at 10 people across the street, and I'm all by myself on a podcast. And I'm thinking, how unfair is this? You know?
Yeah, I'm a patient too.
Yeah, so I put on some John Blum as a piano player. And he plays some good boogie woogie. I put that on because we had some shit on the table because I know how to look like him. And I know at one point when he does the high stuff,
Hey, you're being a showman, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but somebody started angling across the street. I had to cut it short.
But we had big speakers back then too.
Yeah,
we had the big speakers. They were loud. We were super loud. It was great.
Been here a long time.
That was fun.
So what does anybody else want to talk about? What else is going on? You know, we've got a patient to come on to probably our first. Get 3 patients together, 20 minutes. We talk about things, you know, what it takes, and I cut it up. You put it together that way. Change how you will, and we do it right.
Right.
We're gonna do it.
We do it, and it'll be on Wednesdays. So I think we could have 3 now. I'm gonna check it out.
Okay.
You know, but it will be. You'll get used to Tuesday nights.
Hey, the sooner you
Tuesday
start,
Tuesday nights
you had
spinning.
this idea a long time ago.
It's a
The sooner you start,
yeah.
the sooner it's gonna get done.
You want
right?
to do it right now?
This is an.
You want to do it right now? What do you want to do right now?
How are you gonna do that? You said you got to do the whole recording, cutting and editing and stuff.
Just give her a microphone. Ask her the questions.
Yeah,
and
but
we'll cut it
the
up.
thing is, I'd really. That's for if you can't get the Zoom. We're the next step. I could write you a letter after I email you if you want. I'm just saying.
Trying to cut
Don't let the 73-year-old guy lead you in areas like this. It is unbecoming.
Well, we could do a practice run now.
No, we don't need to. It's not a practice run. It's a reaction. You can't practice a reaction.
Right.
What happens is, I don't mean to say I'd be interruptive, but I'm just saying that basically in any conversation, as we started beginning, I'll start feeling it, you know. Like a man might feel at a revival, but it doesn't come out like that. It comes out
You want to get it in order.
you know, the hell. You know, what does your husband think? What does your son think? You know, does it make him cry? Yeah. Sometimes it does. Okay, that's a keeper. No, I mean that's sort of like a straight line that I try to weave it a little better, but it's happened all the time. Having a genuine conversation with somebody, and it's sort of closed, but meant to be open. But the moment is closed. That half hour is everybody stay back. We're just going to talk, you know. And then Lefty may sometimes, you know, there's stuff that Lefty already has. That'd be like, okay, how do you feel about this? And it'd be something, a little snippet of something. And it affects everybody in their own way. It has to do exactly what we're talking about. But the deal in the beginning is to try to find a way to relate to how a 3.5-year blockade on this bill being heard, 9 out of 10 patients don't know it's happening. 9 out of 10, they don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know. It's like basically then we should make sure they know. And part of it is maybe
so get them to pay attention long enough is what you're saying.
Yeah. And then but also if it's sort of like if Susan's husband's there, I can say, how do you feel about this? You know, because he should be well included as well. It doesn't affect just her, you know. And sometimes somebody's saying, there's nothing I can do about it sometimes. I know that feeling.
Yeah,
That's
he's
what-
my caregiver,
well,
so that's
well.
you know,
Then,
we go through
then
that.
you must find whatever it is within yourself to be on the podcast. The thing too, you're a necessary
Oh
ingredient.
yeah, we're a team. Like if you get me, you get her
Yeah.
usually. So yeah, I'll tell my
Oh,
side of what's been
man.
going on, and
Yeah,
you know, she'll tell her side of what's been going on, and they, you know, kind of meet in the middle.
Yeah, well, but it
you guys
does.
asked what
It's
happened to us, we
germane.
disappeared.
That's never in the discussion. It never
Mhm.
seems to it doesn't just stop with patients.
Well, people seem to find out about that sort of thing when they end up in that situation. Everybody ends up needing a caregiver or giving care or something like that, you know. It's just eventually, you know.
I got an idea.
What's up?
Because you were the best sounding board I've ever had on what we're doing. It's like I feel it now, even more so. When we do it, you get to link to the full version and the short version. You know what I mean? If you want to see where that came, watch the whole thing. It's 30 minutes. Or a go-between. You get a better edit, but it's like out of the 30, I would say 30 minutes just to use numbers, it could be, all right, there's a 7-minute version. So somebody might just want to see more and might not. But they have the option of getting their foot wet, testing the water with a minute 39. I can do that, you know. And what if it is that simple?
It is. It's exactly as simple as you're saying.
And now, how do you feel about the fact? Okay, either person, it would be for both of you, knowing that the information about what home grow might mean in your life for a patient.
Oh.
Knowing that it's been blocked, the information, why you want it. You don't get to go to a committee hearing and testify. That's what committees are for, not just people who can testify for and against, because there's plenty of both. Considered experts by some, both ways. They have great credentials.
Don't exist anymore.
Yeah, that's what happens. But the real show is the person with skin in the game, or somebody that's trying to save somebody's freaking life, and they need that. That's what moves people. The rest is their bandwagon. All the rest.
Let's see. I'm not sure if I'd be too good at that. I'm pretty jaded, much like everybody, you know.
But
watching the
but that's
system
kind of that. Yes, it's all.
Yeah, well, because you know, like the government is blocking this, and
Yeah.
the medical system is what injured me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're
Yeah.
hand in hand.
Which
So we're very
which makes it sweeter if you think about that. If you can allow yourself. Which I got a certain amount. People talk about having blinders. I have like 5 multiple. I have all sorts of degree of blinder I can do to get where I need to go. And sometimes it's with risk. But then when I do, it gets the best results, you know. So it's almost like, what if it is as simple? And all we all need to do is be able to have that real discussion, looking at each other, 4 or 5 people, you know, as best we can on a Zoom StreamYard meeting. And we can do that anytime we want. We could be a freaking support group and say, hey, listen, yeah, me too, anybody, yeah, I got some, you know, it would never have a downside. And I myself, and I think both of you, would be also, well, if there's raw footage you don't have time to look through, I'd like to take a crack at it and see what moves you, you know. It doesn't have to be just me doing that. It can spread.
So basically you want people's stories, you know.
Yeah,
Just
as
the
seen
whole
and
plethora,
heard.
but getting
both seen.
Where are you going to get? How do we get them? Okay.
I just putting it out on my Facebook so far is going to start to get results.
We need to think of how do you make it go? What's the secret to going viral? You know,
First is when you start getting results. The beauty is it's not like building a product and you need a prototype, then you got to look how to mass produce it. No, you put it up on YouTube. Boom. Boom. Take a look. Boom.
Well,
you're
I
in.
guess
You're.
First step is get the content first, right?
Yeah, but
Like,
picture
make it
this:
first.
the very first one. Boom. Somebody, a constituent, walks in or finds a way to get to talk to somebody at a meeting, or simply says, "Go to this emails. Go to this website, this YouTube, and put the URL up," because you're mentioned. In fact, a constituent of yours had something to say about medical home grow, and the graphic says Senator so-and-so. That means that your constituent now is up on YouTube. And I got to tell you, makes me want to cry. Take a look. And then they find out, shit. Oh, there's more where that came from. When somebody else sees that works and make you take a shit for a second, there's going to be an onslaught. Patients are going to be like a cancer on you.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
Make sure you can't.
That one worked.
Make sure
man.
you can't be hit tucked away.
Yeah.
You know, out of sight, out of
But
mind.
but what if it is that simple? It's free. It's not something that could be censored.
One
at
of
this
those
point.
benefits of technology. There's plenty of benefits, and there's plenty
So the
of
thing is, Lefty,
negatives
anybody
as
can
well.
anybody can do it. Basically, you have to be able to say, "Come on, it's bullshit. There's people that can outdo me." You need to
It's
take
like, nobody's outdoing me,
you
man.
You
what are
need
you talking about?
No, I mean the actual. I need somebody to storyboard. It's sort of like we got people that can send it to you. I need you to put it together like I'm doing. Boom, you need to job that shit out, right? Why can't that happen? That's the whole thing. Don't let a 73-year-old man tell you the benefits of fucking technology. God damn. That's horrible.
What are you talking? Lucky you use tech. I see a bunch of tech right in front of
Yeah.
you. Are you the tech guy or?
Yeah,
or
he's
you not?
everything. He's his own.
Yeah.
He's his own intern, and he's booked up more time. He's overbooked himself.
Overbooked.
Yeah,
That sounds
he's
like a tech
actually
guy.
overbooked. He is more than the Energizer Bunny, you know.
Yeah.
But that being said,
Eyes gone bad from staring at screens.
That being said, he's the one that will get it started.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm the one that challenges, you know, and saying, Lefty, you know, we're bogging down. It's that easy. I've
I'm
showed
sure
you.
you guys should get plenty of people that want to tell their story. You know, that should be the easy part. People like to talk, I think.
Yeah, we just need content.
What about this,
Yeah.
Lefty? What if you had to set up like, oh man, we got 12. That's going to be 30 minutes. All right, got to book 3 hours worth of Zoom meeting. I'll slog through it with you 3 at a time. Next, 3 at a time.
All in the same
next,
day.
all
that
in
way
the
you guys
sa-
can
next,
cut and edit
next.
and do
Yeah.
what, put out a video a week, a month,
Yeah.
or you know.
To where it's like I have it already. I
shorts.
can send it to anybody that can put it together the best can. Otherwise, it won't get done. We've reached capacity here. It needs to be a group project. It hasn't cost any money yet. We're going to keep it that way. Let's go.
So if you get 30 shorts out of a 3-hour live, then that's 30 episodes per day in a month.
You flood it. There's no. It's the beauty. It's supposed to be
That'll
limitless.
get the algorithm going. That's for
It's
sure.
supposed to be limitless. But I cannot carry this out. I cannot have anything to do with implementing. I have good ideas. I really do. See, with me, I don't bother to become an expert if I know an expert. And I know a lot of people. So I get the information that I trust, and I come to conclusions that a lot of smart people don't have to get together because I'm the conduit, you know, and I really absorb.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of see that. But I also recognize the possibility, and really right up until now, it's hard for me to explain to a normal person that this could be it. This could be it. This
It's
could
hard
be the
now
key.
until
And
they
this,
end up
you
in
know,
the same position. They'll get there.
Now what do
Like,
we
you get to aches and pains in their bones? And you're like, yeah, you know what? I like weed.
Yeah. Now here's the
Those
trick.
guys were on to something.
You realize we're beginning it during the longest off session you'll have in every 2-year period when there's election
I hate
time.
the games. I hate the games.
So
man. That is
basically,
so
summer
gross.
recess turns into what'll happen is to get stuff done. The last 2 months before the election, maybe 10 weeks, they schedule sporadically in a month, maybe like 7 days
I just
that
saw-
they're here they're doing, you know, not a lot. But the point is, if we use that off time to do what we're talking about, why there's no time lag. It's like how quick is it to get the interest and then it's available.
You know,
That's
do
our
your part.
advantage.
I heard recently they were on like a break or something like that, and they just came back, and they're supposed to be coming back to look at bills or something, you know.
Yeah,
and
they
they're
will be.
Mardi Grasing instead, like partying. You
Yeah,
know, like
yeah.
they just had a
That's
3-month party,
beautiful.
3-week party, and now they're you know, like.
Yeah. Well, then the discussion can begin with, while they're having fun at Mardi Gras, you're telling me that you're going back into pain management because you can't afford it. No, I already went back in. Susan went back in after 29 years off. I mean,
It was
with
cheaper.
opiates.
It was cheaper to go back on opiates.
Well, no, it was 19 months, and then she could not afford. I mean, at some point, it does take away. Define afford. If you have to change something else around, you can't afford it. You afford it, doesn't mean you can afford it. There's a difference. And anyway, patient. That's what I used to ask patients when there was a line in dispensaries and everybody's complaining. I loved it. Because I had all that time in line. I didn't tell them who I was or nothing, and I started asking them, and I would get examples of what people gave. And the one that sticks with me longest, and you can look at back podcasts of long ago, and I've probably mentioned it, is this woman was like, it was for pain, and we're in line, and she was saying what it cost, and she's like, so basically, other than like underwear and socks, I haven't bought new clothes in 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, and I said, whoa, you know, and then she said something about her husband, and I said, oh, he's a patient too. He goes, no, but he loves me, you know, and it was like, where is that moment, you know? Imagine that. You know, I mean, that comes up. That's not anger. That's a strange emotion, and it's going to happen. And then to make it available, available and to make the rest available. Well, you did, you know, you referenced it the way you wanted. You made, what's that called? You know, out of context. You took something out of context. Okay, here's
But
the
it's
full.
out of context and it
Here's the
sounds
full
beautiful.
version. You know. But if we had little lefty's little helpers, it'd be like, listen, here's about 6.5 minutes, and you know, get generally that. But anything you want to put your own twist on it, go ahead. Oh, then people can be like, here's what I got, and then they can make it better in their own mind, and then they can put it up, and it's like, I feel it. There's all that human nature in there that you can rely on, you know. And but it's the emotion people are missing, you know. It's the best I ever did as an advocate was not that far away, 2 streets over, when the Drug Policy Alliance had Montel Williams in town to talk about.
That's a name I haven't heard in forever.
Yeah, and he was the big draw, you know. And there was a press conference, and I was there to talk about Cheryl. She died. A year before. It was pretty fresh. Anyway, I was scheduled to speak third, and he's speaking fourth. And what happened was, there was a time when I was getting Cheryl changed, and I had this problem because she was in pain, and I had to get her changed. She could only move her arms and shoulders and shit, you know. So when I rolled her on the left side, it was going to really hurt, and it would take a little, how long? And I couldn't do it. I was having some not post-traumatic stress. I'm talking about current traumatic stress. There's a TPSD I was experiencing, and it was, the simplicity was amazing. I had a little shirt pocket tape, so I wouldn't lose my thought when I was doing shit. And she said, "Why don't you record it?" I said, "Why am I the only one that has to hear how this hurts you?" And she said, well, and I did. So I recorded it, and I didn't listen to it for maybe 2 years, and I found it. Wow. So what I did is I listened to it maybe at least 50 times in a row. I mean, I had to inoculate myself. Because my problem is I was being told by the head of health in New Jersey that there's alternatives in medicine that are as good and better than what marijuana is said to be, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So I had to point that out, and Cheryl tried everything, and as I went there, I said, I think here, in her own words, she can tell you that it wasn't like that, And I went and I explained, this is from me getting her changed, one time. And boom. And I played it. And it was stunning. A guy that was a photographer was having like projectile tears. It was like it was the weirdest.
That would have been me.
It was the weirdest knockout because it was captivating, and I'm not like going to imitate it particularly, but to get the feel, it was like a wounded animal that you wanted to help, and I was quietly going, quick as I can. So basically, it was her going, oh.
Yeah, I know those sounds.
But I inoculated myself, so I could do that and talk about it. And it was really weird because I knew Montel, and I've been to something he did in Washington once or even twice, and he began by saying, "I hurt right now," and I understand. I mean, I'm not mocking him.
No,
but he's also skilling in Chile. And anybody that skis in Chile rather than Chile, I'm just saying. So it was like, it reminded me of something I'd seen in a movie once, because it was his turn to speak. And he was like, why did Cheryl have to suffer like that? It would, instead of the I'm in pain, he had to follow that. So it was, to me, it was like really very dramatic. It's going to go after the wax.
Well, that's a way. My brain just flashed to pumping the downtown area full of speakers of people that are going through pain and then hurting, like letting them hear what it sounds like. You can't ignore it.
It needs to be heard. It absolutely needs to be heard.
I guess that's activism or something, like blasting loudspeakers with people going through, what they go through in daily living.
What more can we do?
Well, what we can do is just make it available for everybody. Oh, and by the way,
play speakers right outside of the important people's houses.
It's very important during that people know who this person's senator is. In other words, who the person is that they're seeing now on YouTube, who's a constituent in multiple. Oh yeah, it's only a minute 52. There's 7 of them.
That's what the shorts are for. You gotta,
exactly.
All kinds.
Yeah. So the point is every time that person's name is there, it's sort of like you get to email your senator and say hi. That'd be the weirdest intro a person would have. Is I'm already on YouTube talking about this. So have you seen it? Yeah. Can you imagine that being the beginning of a freaking discussion? Somebody that saw the pain in their constituent's face, calling him up saying, have you seen the video?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's real as shit, isn't it? I found her way into the end zone, dude. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
It's a new play, and the thing is, it's too simple. But may I remind you?
I used to drive a school bus back in the day. And for the troublemakers, I'd have to get the other kids, the ones that were friends with him, in order to calm him down, because you got to play the situation.
Get your boy.
Get your boy, man. Get your boy. Like, I can't move the truck here. He's not sitting down, and then everybody, they start yelling, "Yeah, sit down. We want to go home." But yeah, get your boy. It works.
It does.
Is what I'm saying.
No, it does.
Turn this on for a minute.
You're up.
All right, so I was on.
So you can hear yourself. It's coming.
The right way would help, right?
Yeah, that works.
That's what I'm talking about. This is New Jersey's thing for this
All
is
right.
that New Jersey's part, National Patient Awareness Day. We're representing.
Hold on. I was in vocational school, right? And the bus driver that used to take us to the school, he used to stop at the store and take our money and buy us cigarettes and then smoke cigarettes on the bus on the way to school. Like, he was the coolest bus driver ever, blasting rap music.
Mine was cooler. You know why?
No.
We would listen to Howard Stern in the morning. My bus driver would smoke cigars. So we would smoke weed in the back of the bus because he couldn't smell the weed because he was smoking cigars, stinking up the bus with a cigar. We would smoke weed in the back of the Old Bridge bus, St. Joe's.
Don't think we didn't do
shout
that.
out.
Don't think we didn't do that.
I walked uphill both ways.
He didn't.
Both ways.
He didn't care as long as there was no cops coming. Cops coming, cigarettes had to be put out, not flicked out the window.
How often were you guys having cops come to the school bus?
Oh
man?
my goodness!
No, like when you're driving down the street,
Well,
one passing you.
Gotcha. All right.
There were really different rules in school in the 60s in high school. So,
We had a smoking lounge in my school.
This was back in 2000.
Nobody offered me
2000
in high school, not
2001.
one freaking time.
Well, here you go. I'll offer you now.
That'll make up for it. Yeah.
This will make up for it. It's better.
Vibrators when it kicks in.
I think it should be going right now. It just hit me in the fucking balls. Woo-hoo! Wow. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Thanks.
Yeah, shout out to St. Joe's High School. Old Bridge bus.
Piscataway
Watch your foot,
Votac.
Lo.
That was the bus. That was the
Tom. His name was Tom. And
from Woodbridge High School to Piscataway Votac.
Tom didn't give a crap. He just smoked cigars, smoked us out. So we were like, all right, you ain't smoking us out. We'll smoke you out. We smoked him out. Only once did you pull the bus over and said, hey, put that shit out.
Right.
But it was once in 4 years.
How long? Well, it doesn't matter how long ago now. Statute of limitations like way up. Like you
Yeah,
gave this-
Tom, if you're still around, we love you, Tom. That was 40 years ago.
Yeah.
40 years ago, and he was probably 50 then, smoking cigars. So I don't know. He's probably a cannabis patient by now if he's still alive. I bet he's smoking some fat fucking blunts now. Old Tom from the Old Bridge bus. Tom from the Old Bridge bus, call in if you can hear me. Tom from the Old Bridge bus from the 80s. Call in, even if it's a phony phone call. Call in, even if it's fake. Call in.
Just
Be
call.
dialing. Be dialing. I don't care if it's a fake ass phone call. It'll be funny. Yeah, this is Tom. I knew you were smoking weed on that bus. Damn, Lefty Grimes.
Wait, get a close-up. I'll tell you a sad story. I'm crying from...
I got a sad story.
You're crying. This is sad.
Why are you crying? I can't hear you. I can't hear a word you're saying.
I'm just saying. I'm a cannabis patient, and I'm crying.
Oh.
Okay, I've been coughing.
When my son taught me how to smoke weed, he told me, Mom, rule number 1, don't cough. You broke rule number 1.
On camera.
The water pipe does that. I mean, between
I was
that.
always told if you don't cough, you don't get off.
Yeah, that's what I always heard. I thought that's what you were going to say. I thought that's where you were going with
We
that.
had a saying that if you ever did that while you were driving, the saying was, take the wheel! The thing you didn't want to hear was this, and I heard it one time. I was the reply. It went, take the wheel! No! You know what I mean? So for that person to hear no,
I was actually that
right?
person
What do you mean,
myself.
no?
I was in the passenger seat and I heard, John, can you drive? And I said, no. And
No.
next thing I know, I'm waking up in the hospital.
We were young
I
and
had to
we were
get 10
stupid.
staples in the back of my head.
So since we haven't been able to do any research on cannabis, like people have been doing it themselves, and they determined that coughing is what does you in. You start coughing and it's all over from there. You might as well just make it, call it a day. Check yourself in.
Especially with dabs.
Yeah.
I get the dab sweats, and I'm done.
Speaking of coffin, I made a coffin one time, a 5-foot styrofoam coffin to take to Wisconsin for their medical marijuana bill.
Huh.
Yeah, because
Wow.
it was dead in committee when I was going there. And pot makes you real creative. So with this 1-inch foam board, I found that there was black duct tape that when you overlapped it carefully, it looked like wood. And I made a 5-foot with the proportion, the right things, and a top that opened and closed. And then on the inside, the back of the foam board was like a pleated reflective mirror. Basically. So we had a copy of the bill at a rally in Wisconsin that they were at. Great Midwestern Marijuana Harvest Festival, and they had a medical marijuana Bill, and this was Bill. His name was Bill.
Yeah.
So we had a funeral for medical marijuana Bill, and a sign
Poor Bill.
Etu Underheim. Okay, I say less than 50% of the people understood Etu Underheim would be Etu's guitar. U2.
Ratari.
You know, I mean, it was the Julius Caesar.
Or is it
and
Snake Tari?
Brutus.
Today is Snake Tari.
It didn't matter. But the funny thing about that was, you know, we had roses and fake pot leaves. And a gust of wind took it off its little triangular black, what we put it, and these real young stoners chased it down and skidded along the sidewalk about 15 yards, and they brought it back. But they brought it back like this. They held it and walked like it was a freaking body in there. It just didn't want. And that to me was hilarious, you know. And they put it down with such reverence. But the thing is, Tammy Baldwin, she's been a U.S. Senator for a while now. From there, she was also the one who is a big sponsor of the Jackie Rickert medical marijuana bill, and I was with Jackie Rickert, and I met Tammy Baldwin already. So I was putting that coffin away when Gary and Jackie, he was pushing her wheelchair, and in the storefronts, I saw myself with a 5-foot coffin walking behind them. So we're out in public, and I'm pushing.
You saw yourself.
She's pushing around, and I got a coffin, and I'm going, how do you know? She could go at any minute. You know, and I was doing it, like messing with people.
Yeah.
So I looked, and on the other side was Tammy. I saw Tammy. No, I went to put the coffin away. Jackie and Jackie and Gary got a table. Okay, I was running over the car, and I ran by Tammy Baldwin. And I said, Senator, she was a senator from state government then. Senator Baldwin. So she was with her crew. And the crew look over and they see some guy with a 5-foot coffin calling out Senator. And before they could react, she said hello, you know, and indicated she knew me. We talked for a second. No, I'm not doing that again. Look at that. My left hand reached out like it was playing a joke on my lungs, you know.
That's funny. Come on, stop putting that in front of me, man. It's natural reflexes.
I have reflexes. But I said to myself, too, today, and I tested the limits, and I have a number in mind of time. See, I can do that. Oh, you didn't take that shit out? You didn't clear it.
Sorry.
That's just going to make me cough right there. You set me up like I wouldn't know that.
Set you up, man.
I could have cleared it. I forgot.
See, that gets
You
stale.
forgot?
You know.
Save me yours. Save me yours. I'll do yours.
It gets all stale, man.
Yeah, fast. Gets stale fast.
I didn't get to try it once.
When it gets stale, you just pull some more and then
I was clearing my lungs. That wasn't a cough, by the way.
All right.
This is
got
nice. It has an ice shelf in here, right? This is great. You can put ice in here. Yeah, it's amazing.
This is okay. This is what we do on Sundays, a family thing, in the house that I moved into when I was in 8th grade. And right now it's my brother Rick, older brother, taking care of stepdad George, and younger brother who's like 18 years younger and the successful one, with an actual family. And we all gather there on Sundays, and we get out the bong that was never allowed in that dining room table. And stepdad George, who is part of the no sort of atmosphere I grew up in, finds out his greatest pleasure now at this point in his life is seeing his son. He came through a family thing that you would thought would never work out, and it was like a magic happened, and now he's living. It was like this 1 in a billion shot. So with all that happening now, he sees his son. We have the same mother, different fathers. He's a full brother, and his greatest thrill now is sometimes we do the stupidest things. We also have 3 beers. There you go. Sunday's a 3-beer day as well, and he just has the greatest joy in us having a good time without other people go to church. I get that. Every Sunday going there. It's pretty easy gig. Kind of like this, except for no beer.
Except for no beer. Yeah.
No beer. Yeah, Sunday's like, I'd rather not.
You got a
But
sound effect for no beer?
No.
Oh.
I only have 2.
What do you got?
You eat it.
Yeah, that was fun.
That's a good one. That's new. Well, it's actually old, but it's new.
Yeah.
It's new as a sample.
so, what do you think of this? The federal government.
Oh, here we go.
This way, I don't. So, this is about National Cannabis Patient Awareness Day.
Yay.
It's the patients that should be aware.
We've been forgotten about.
In New Jersey.
By everybody.
No, we haven't. We aren't forgotten by the Rohrabacher Blumenauer Amendment or whatever it's called.
They canceled that.
From 2011.
They got
It
rid of
gave
that.
states the freedom to pursue their medical and marijuana programs.
Trump
yeah?
said no mas.
Yeah.
No mas.
No, he didn't say no mas.
No, he didn't say that.
He didn't say that. He's saying that there should be no mas in the budget for that.
Right.
But he said that 4 times as a president's first time, and it's up to Congress, apparently. It was the first time. Yeah, see, there's something different in the air. Okay, well, it was the first time. Yeah, I'm not that kind of guy.
Well, that's it. These guys, they just keep on stringing
Yeah.
along, and then, they just need something to promise to get elected every so often, Like, everything sounds great, and then they get there, and it's just...
Yeah, but to do that, basically, if that amendment was undone, or they found an end around, that would mean that it would be a Schedule I drug that, whether or not it was legal or was, they could treat it however they want. And of course, the goal isn't really getting as much money they can. That would mean who would prevail on a toss-up between the governor of a state with a medical marijuana program they wanted to keep, without people being scared, keep the status quo, then you do this for me. It's a freaking power play with patients as pawns.
Yeah.
That's like a quadruple P.
That was power play with patients and pawns.
But see, that all when I say it offends me, honestly, I make people sick with it gets back to the blockade at every time. I only let so long go now. I ran for to be a state senator seat from the 10th district in 2007. Just so because I could, because libertarians would have me on this, and I said, if I don't agree with anything you say, I can do this? Yeah, sure, let's go. So, I did that. I did get almost 5%, over 5% of the vote, yeah. And, but the thing is, what I did then is what I'm doing now to a different degree. No matter what I was asked, I always brought it back to medical marijuana. And when you sit down with 4 editors of a paper and they ask you questions and your answers always circle back. And they start to, I got one guy fooled one time when I said something and I circled back. He was making a note with a pencil. He did like Johnny Carson did. He took the pencil and whoever did it and threw it over his shoulder. But anyway, the reason I did that was because it seemed like I love my vote and it's one vote. And I'm not the kind of person going to knock on doors for a candidate. It's not me. I didn't like getting the signatures for me. I couldn't get my own signatures. I stood in front of a freaking food store saying to me, "Hi, are you registered to vote?" Yeah, no, I don't want to register. If you are registered, Oh, man, I had this. No, it's not me. Can I hire somebody to do that and stand there and shake my head? I mean, what do I got to do? And at the time, it had to be you, or I think the libertarians actually changed that thing by, that they like being able to do that. But everything I did was all about that. So now, it's not an off season for patients. It's for Nick Scutari, it might be, but not for patients. And the thing is, with me having expressed things at Congressman Frank Pallone's house and found out that my constitutional rights are intact then, right after the Patriot Act, they shouldn't be any more or less the same now. And that leads me to a crossroads in my own life. It's been 3.5 years, Jim. What's it going to take? So anyway, I don't ever have to show up, but I wonder what would it be like if where the township he lives in, if the local police force got a letter from an Esquire, as well as the senator himself, saying, uh-oh, I have to tell you what Jim Miller's plan is. You should ask Frank Pallone how it'll work out. You know, I mean, in other words, it's the weirdest thing in the world to be able to offer somebody in exchange for 15 minutes of a StreamYard. 15 minutes of a StreamYard. I'll wipe that slate clean. But the thing is, to make that offer, then I got to ask myself, do I back it up or not? You know, and if I didn't, it wouldn't matter.
Been out here for a long time. How long you been into this? You know, activism for
in New Jersey, activism since '93. Actually, I pushed Cheryl's wheelchair across the state. I remember at one point I got so frustrated. I said, if I gotta carry your wheelchair on my shoulders across the state to get people to understand this is a fucking medical marijuana, and she laughed something stupid. Wheelchair has wheels, and I thought, bingo.
Maybe not a good idea.
Yeah, so I pushed her wheelchair.
That's why you're the smart one, honey.
Pushed her wheelchair across the state in 25 hours, March 25th, 1993, to the pillar on the second side, the second pillar in. Yeah, ended there after 25 hours, and that's what got the press out. Nothing else got the press out. I did that so they could see my blisters and see a physically beaten human being. Yeah. You know, but I yanked her chain. You know, so that was that started a ball rolling, so to speak. You know.
Yeah. I said, look at it. You know, I get the want. Look at me. I exist. You know, these pains are real. Yeah. You got to do some drastic stuff to get eyes on
you.
Well,
you know, for me, there's more than one or two times when I review somebody, show somebody, oh, look, if I looked up Cheryl Miller medical marijuana, it'll go to an NBC news of March 30th in 1998. When I gave Cheryl some marijuana to eat in a congressman's doorway in front of the world media.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got arrested, but there's a minute 56 of NBC footage on YouTube. You know, I'll show it to you before we're done.
Out.
Quick,
that's such a activist statement.
But
so we got arrested.
But that's a focal
after that,
point
it was
for
fun. Like after that, things were cool.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, we gotta bail. We gotta head out. I gotta go get needles stuffed in my face.
No! What kind of stuff do you have? You still selling stuff online? You have still going with that? What's going on? Do you have a way of anything? You're done with all that? Or no? Okay.
Oh well, Marie.
You had some cool stuff.
Marie does stuff. She's
yeah.
I crochet now.
Yeah, you're doing some cool. Yeah, you sell any of that stuff or?
I sell to the people who understand that it's worth my time to sell it for a price.
Right.
You know, I'm not going to give it away for nothing.
Right.
Well, I do for people. You know, like.
It's weird. She gives it away, and she said, like, it's like it's either giving it away or I'm selling it. You know, one of the two.
Yeah, I won't sell it for cheap. Like I don't spend my time. If you're gonna request something from me, I tell you up front, it's expensive. I don't shy about it. It is expensive.
What kind of stuff have you made?
Everything. Shawls, wraps, blankets, dresses, everything.
Really?
Baby clothes I did not enjoy.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
They grow too fast.
Yeah, so by the time you're a week into making a size 0 to 3 months, they're already 3 to 4 months, you know? So
that'd be the case, right?
But Amy, it was impossible to keep up with the sizes. Jesus Christ.
Right. Yeah. Keep changing.
Yeah. Like.
Well, if
I can put pictures inside of things, especially blankets and bigger objects. So I can make all kinds of stuff.
All right.
Check her out, Fantastic Fiber. She does tutorials and teaches how to crochet. Uses
Yes.
crochet as pain relief and meditation.
Yes.
And helps get her mind off of the day-to-day, drone pain
Yes.
aspect of stuff. It helps.
Where do we find you at?
Fantastic Fiber on YouTube.
On YouTube. Fantastic Fiber on YouTube.
Mhm.
Okay. And if they want to buy something from you?
Email marsofoltrades@gmail.
Okay. There we go.
Thanks, man.
Perfect. Yeah. Hope we get some calls, make some money.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I've seen your stuff. It's really cool.
Oh, have
So,
you? You
yeah,
saw it? Yeah. Thank you.
You've been always doing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. My mom taught me how to crochet when I was 9. And I kind of like picked it up and put it down, picked it up and put it down. And then like 6 years ago, after like a really bad depression bout, I picked it up again and made myself finish something. So I made him a blanket.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it just kind of, I kind of like went into like a yarn buying mania. I have a whole room. Like if you go on my YouTube channel, you'll be able to see it's wall to wall, floor to ceiling, all yarn shelves, But he was like, if you want to keep doing this, that's fine, but you got to start a YouTube channel and record every time you buy yarn. You got to open it up on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nobody's going to watch that.
Oh, yeah, they will.
And yeah, they do.
Of course we do.
Yeah.
We love that.
Now, does YouTube pay you?
Yep, I just got monetized. I just got monetization put on hold because I didn't know that I had to be a business in order to be a YouTuber, so I have to go open up my business.
Okay.
So we're
Be doing that tomorrow.
So what, they
Nice.
send you the forms in the mail?
No, I don't even know how. I don't even remember. Like when we opened up our trucking business, I don't. That was what, like 7-8 years ago. I don't even remember.
I remember
A lot of not knowing what we were doing, fumbling and failing. So-
I remember when I opened up my own business back in 2005, 2006. I remember just doing everything over the phone with the IRS and getting a tax ID number. And,
Yeah.
and everything was over the phone. Like it was so easy.
Yeah, everything is so. I mean, it's not that hard. I don't remember it being hard. I just remember it being confusing. Because it was our first time. So
Yeah.
That's something else you'll see. Like if you guys check out our YouTube channel, I'm driving cross country most of the time. So, so I'm driving and she's get to see some pretty cool scenery. We're out in
You drive a big
all
rig?
sorts of
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's nice.
We're out
I
in
got
the
a friend that
deserts
drives
and the
local,
mountains.
local East Coast,
Yeah.
like here at Buffalo, New York.
yeah,
or
yeah. So
Virginia.
I travel
That's
with
about
him,
it.
and
Oh, nice.
like at the end, it's nice because the bed's right in the back, so I don't have to stay
Yeah,
sitting.
yeah,
Sitting
yeah,
is one of the
yeah.
most painful things that I do.
Oh, yeah.
So
I hear that.
stand or lay down.
Like his even got a TV, a PS5, a fridge, a microwave. I was like, Jesus Christ,
We got a crock
dude.
pot. Like I cooked up
Crock
there
pot.
and everything.
Perfect.
Air fryer, coffee pot, espresso machine.
Made us look into tiny living. It's like, we already do this. We don't need anything. Who needs a house anymore,
One of the things that we were like before we go, because we have to go. One of the things that we were looking into is moving out to New Mexico because you can grow 12 plants.
Oh, yes.
That was going to be a question I asked. Like, all right, imagine the utopia in New Mexico and everything's paid for and all the weed you want is there, your specific strains for your specific pains. All you got to do is say yes and you get drove down there. The only catch is you kind of live underground. It's nice. It's cool down there. Air conditioning and all that, first world. But, would you do it? Would you go to this mythical place? Or would you stay in Jersey fighting these guys? What'd you do?
Man.
Right?
Sometimes it just seems like it'd be a good deal. Just you're telling me I could go underground with a purpose.
Yeah.
And that'd be like taking a hit. Are you kidding me?
You can grow all your own plants.
I need that to feel the need to survive longer myself. I could be doing
dry heat. I love dry heat. My back.
It is.
Less storms, less pain.
Yeah.
We were looking at a lot of different areas out, in all the places that let you grow. And New Mexico just keeps coming up as like one of the best places to go. It's cheaper out there. The taxes are lower.
And where in
you
New
can grow
Mexico?
12.
It's hypothetical, yeah. Then it'd be like
off grid, so nobody's messing with you, you know. But it's still legal.
Yeah.
Everything's still legal. You're just off grid, doing your own thing, growing your own plants, living your own life, you know. Just coming out for the morning sunrise and sunset out there, beautiful, you know. It's some beautiful sights out there. But gotta have air conditioning. First world, you know.
Yeah.
We need that, man.
Solar.
So yeah, just
Solar,
somewhere.
so there's no electric bill when you're growing.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
yeah,
So
well,
it's legal to grow in New Mexico?
Yeah,
How
like
many plants?
12 plants per adult.
Per-
Now,
per
is there a
patient.
different
Per
limit
patient.
indoor per outdoor?
Say again?
Is there a different limit indoor and outdoor? Like,
Oh, I
You
don't.
gotta so the way that they have it is you have to have it secure. Like you have to have it enclosed and locked up. You can't grow it outside just anywhere. So if you are growing outside, then you have to be like so many miles away from people. You have to be like Arizona. You can't even like live 25 miles, like within 25 miles of a dispensary.
And there's dispensaries
grow.
everywhere. So
And there's dispensaries
like,
everywhere,
Yeah, you
so-
can grow, but you know,
Yeah.
here's the rules.
That
now,
they've got some
states there's
crazy
a limit.
rules.
Like you could have like, let's say 12 plants outside and 10 plants inside.
Yeah, like
I don't know about Mexico.
no, like so it would be 12 plants period for me. If he was a patient, it would be 12 plants period for him.
Okay.
So we could grow a total of 24 plants, and you know, like let's just say that you guys all lived in New Mexico with me, but you didn't know how to grow. I can
You
grow
dig
up to
down,
60
like, those
plants
can be
for
like
you guys.
10, 15 feet tall. or
Right,
something, growing
right.
dirt,
Look,
you know?
Yeah.
look. A few years ago, I had gotten a plant from here, and
Oh, yeah.
I brought it home and I grew it, and it grew to a beautiful plant, and the buds were amazing.
Mhm.
Now, I had gotten some seeds from RoyalQueenSeeds.com, and planted a shit ton of them, and got a couple of different plants, and the buds. I did everything differently. And I did shit that I didn't know about before.
Yeah, you learned from the first time.
Right. Especially about the bud tightening chemicals.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But everything's all natural, you know, like nothing man-made.
Yeah.
And
Looks like a
so
party
the
roll.
buds
Oh,
were
thank you.
amazing.
Thank you. Wow,
And,
yes.
Man, one of the
see.
seeds
You made
was
Ooh.
Northern Thunderfuck.
Ooh,
Oh,
wow.
God.
Alaskan Thunderfuck.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
yeah,
you
I
so
remember
much.
those.
And then melon
I
honeydew.
look forward to enjoying that later on this evening.
What strain is it?
Orange
Lemon shining silver haze.
Orange sherbet?
Durban.
That,
Oh, Durban.
That
lemon
sounds.
shining silver haze.
You
was
guys, you
fucking
smokers.
Great.
Uh-huh.
The fantastic
Oh my
names.
God.
Sweet.
Yeah, you should definitely check out RoyalQueenSeeds.com. Their prices on seeds.
They are not a sponsor of ours, just so you know.
Is it Royal? Which one?
Or Matt Hatter.
RoyalQueenSeeds.com.
Pacific Rural Seeds.
Royal-
Pacific Seed Bank. I don't know if you guys ever had Death Star from Garden State Dispensary when it was there. Death Star was one of the strains that New Jersey once grew. Death Star was one of the strains that New Jersey once grew. So I made my way up there and I bought it just because I was trying different strains in the beginning of the program, finding something that would work for the pain that I deal with. That one made my pain feel like icy hot. It made me feel like I went from doubled over to just icy hot. It was the strangest thing. It took the pain away. It made me feel okay. And so I started buying ice. I started going all the way up there from Burlington County to Garden State Dispensary just for that.
Death Star.
And they took it away because it's too hard to grow a big plant because it's a small shrub.
Right.
It doesn't get big. So because it doesn't yield a
sad.
whole lot, they got rid of it and they took away my medicine.
Oh.
We were just out in California recently. I was lucky enough to find that the only place in California, or the only place in the United States that sells Death Star was in California, right where we were at like a couple months ago, and I got a couple ounces of it.
Oh, nice.
What's the
Crazy that they would have a Jersey strain because
Yeah.
we get everything from them.
Yeah, I think that was the Cali strain that we got, but they continued to carry it, but
what's
we got rid of
the genetics of that? Do you know the parents?
Skywalker and
Skywalker OG, yeah.
Sour Diesel, I think it was.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
okay.
But it's a nice,
that's a New York
you know,
strain.
like
I mean,
we've popped that seed before ourselves, and you know that comes out so nice. Like it's just a beautiful, beautiful strain.
Part of the story, you know, like so from New Jersey to California, like anytime I go back to work, she's not allowed to have her meds, you know, because the rules are still, you know, different from state to state. So we get out there and she finds out that they have it there and they're wrecked, you know, so she gets to go ahead and partake. Now, it's so creepy because from here to there, if we hit a bad storm or a bad anything, you know what I mean, a bad stretch of road, she's in pain, doubled over, you know what I mean? And there's nothing much I can do about it. We're in the middle of nowhere, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
dude.
just waiting for these laws and everything to change, you know, like for it
I'm stuck on opioids again. You know, I got stuck going back on opioids because, you know, that and muscle relaxers to be able to put me
Well,
out on
then
the road.
You can take them across state lines, no problem.
Yeah, right, no problem.
Something you can kill yourself with.
Yeah.
Oh, here you go.
Yeah, safe.
Oh, this safe, effective medication. Nah, you can't have that. It works. You know, you wouldn't want to give that to
Shit,
somebody.
see, that's exactly what I'm
between
talking
her
about.
being
right
a mom
there.
at home or just home alone or coming out with her husband, you know what I mean? Like marital choices that we have to make because they just can't get their act together, you know, don't want the rules to be straightened out. I think they like it ambiguous like that, you know, like just
living on the dangerous side.
that's
Yeah. You know, like my kids are all grown up. They're out on their own. You know, they're all doing their own thing. I don't need to be home anymore. There's no need for it. There's a 4-bedroom house for no reason. You know, why am I there? So I can smoke pot? You know, that's the only reason I'm there, for my medication. So I go on the road with him, and when we stop through a legal state, which is most of them, I get some edibles
That's
or
a weird
you know,
way to plan a trip, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it used
Lot
to
of
be
planning.
like, yeah.
A lot of planning.
Now, is the weed a lot stronger in other states than it is here?
You know,
that's on you, baby. Here you go.
Okay, our dispensaries suck.
Wow.
Oregon, in all honesty, Oregon has had some of the best weed that I've had.
Really?
Oregon's got beautiful weed. Death Star is my favorite, so of course that was my favorite strain that I've had so far out there. I haven't had anything better than that so far. Something with the terpenes and the genetics of it works well with my genetics, so that's my strain.
Yeah.
But I've had Orange Diesel, I've had Wedding Cake, I've had Ice Cream Cake, I've had, you know, like so many different strains. I've had White Rhino, you know what I mean? From 2 different states, and they vary differently, greatly. Like there's a huge difference between the two. You know, I suffer with issues with going to the doctors and them telling me that weed is why I'm having problems with food.
Oh, yeah.
Really? Weed makes people eat, didn't you hear? You know, like I have gastroparesis. My stomach is paralyzed. So I have trouble eating. When I eat, it feels like rocks, which, you know, then in turn causes me to vomit. And, you know, like those types of things make it real discouraging to want to eat. And then, you know, like a little on the TMI side, my stomach's paralyzed. So if it does get down in there and it doesn't come up, it also doesn't come out. You know what I mean? So it's stuck. Everything gets stuck. So if it gets in there, it's trapped. And weed's the only thing that has helped make it move through. You know, I cook my weed in coconut oil or butter. I eat it, I smoke it, I drink it, I have my edibles, I put it on me, I do everything I possibly can. Like, that's my medicine. I came off a lot of pills when I started this program, you know, and I went to just weed. That was it. You know?
Every doctor's like, yeah, you got to quit that.
yeah, man.
Every doctor.
Still, right?
Every doctor.
Wow.
I go in the hospital doubled over in pain, and they're like, you know, it could be because you're having cannabis withdrawal.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah, but I just ate my edibles. What are you talking about? Cannabis withdrawal. Oh, well, then maybe you're having a cannabis overdose. But
Wow.
Huh? Yeah. Exactly. But it's been lovely seeing you guys again, but we have dentist appointments, so we got to get all the way out to Burlington.
Oh my.
All right.
I hope it's not too painful.
Yeah, I hope not so.
Just a cleaning, maybe.
Fillings.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, want to like noodle around the idea of I'm looking at multiple times just listening to you both right now, where there was stuff that would be really cool if it was like to a camera, not from behind. You know, I mean, and that's just like, but there's some sort of formula, and it might rely almost on having time with everybody first, like not a lot of time, like, you know, quick, we'll just do this for 15 minutes, see what comes out, whatever, and then somebody else individually, if you follow me.
Yeah.
Like where Lefty could sort of time it out, where basically somebody else doing it can certainly be
I sent him my phone number.
waiting and watching, if you know what I mean, to say there might be a way, but it needs to be with some of the what I would see right now. The point is, it involves two people. You know.
So you're gonna need couples,
Yeah, and that's not a unique situation, and a lot of people that'll resonate.
I mean, you deal with a lot of different things in a marriage just to begin with, to be married. You know what I mean? Just a relationship in general without marriage is a lot. And then you throw illness or sickness or injury or, you know, anything like that on top of it. And it puts such a strain through the whole relationship. It is, I know it's hard on him to see me cry. You know what I mean? It's hard on me to cry in front of him. I don't want to do it, you know, because I know it breaks his heart. Those are things that people just don't get, you know? And it's just, you know, like this is one of these things.
I'm listening to it right now.
21 years we've been together. In 21 years, I progressively got worse, you know, and it's not going to get better. I've been told it's not going to get better by multiple doctors. And when I was bedridden, couldn't walk, they told me I'd never walk again. I wouldn't get any better. It would only get worse. And then I discovered cannabis. So.
Man,
we're out of here.
We need to do that.
Mic drop right there.
Mic drop.
That's the mic drop right there. That's
well, let me.
And we're going to continue this conversation.
Oh man, that was awesome. It's very telling. Listen, basically, it's going to be, we all need to be able to do a small amount of time. Lefty can set up something has nothing to do with anything else. You know, I'm here and we're kind of like using what we already do is to do it then. But I'm thinking since talking with you guys, no, it needs to be more focused. It needs to be, it's not like you pay by the hour or something. I mean, like whatever he needs to do, as long as we're there at the same time, boom, we're in. We do. No, we just get together and we talk for a little bit. That's it, right? And then, yeah. Thing is, we do that, but then I'm also going to do it with somebody named Susan, who's the one that was off. Now she's back on paying. You know, she's got an interesting story, you know. And the thing is, there'll be like, you'll want to be able to see the whole thing. This can be done where whatever we talk about in its entirety should be available. Nothing's out of context, you know. But then you, the person, and you both, you know, might want to even take part of, well, what would be the cut? You look at yourself and say, you know, we like how that looked, or we like whatever, you know. You get to take part in that process too. It's like never been done, you know. I know you can. I know you're feeling it too, you know.
We're down. Like, I don't like the injustice and the unfairness of the way our system is set up. So, you know, like, you'll get me all sorts of biased and rambling and ranting and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
This system is fucking
Yeah, but the thing is, okay, what if
duct tape can't fix that shit.
are you willing to sit down and like say do something for about like 20 minutes? They may produce somewhere around 68 seconds of gold, and that's it. You follow what I'm saying? Yeah. It's not like how much can you get out of a conversation where there's always something. Always. So the thing is it could be 10 minutes. I mean, it could be whatever person's got, and it should be in short bursts, you know?
Yeah, and then we'll get to look back at them, and we'll get something together. Awesome. All right, man. You got to go. I got headphones on. That's why you're being tethered.
You too. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Such a cute little snake there.
Good seeing you again.
What a cutie. What's that snake's name?
We're in town again.
Yeah. Well, we're already going to be talking and doing a little thing with Lefty. You'll get the offer.
We'll get together.
You know?
We'll do a little video.
No, you guys
we'll
gonna be
just,
here on the 4th Thursday too, right?
Yes, 4th Thursday of next month, of August. Back here.
Yep.
What's the snake's name?
Rogue.
Rogue.
Yeah.
R-O-G-U-E?
Yeah, that's a
Rogue.
character from X-Men.
Rogue.
And I have Wolverine at home.
She's nice.
Oh.
I like her. And what does your shirt mean? Now, this Abbey Road, right? Is that Abbey Road?
Yeah.
And why is there dinosaurs crossing Abbey Road? What does that mean?
Why not? Velociraptors are just as cool as the Beatles.
Do you see that shirt? Can you what? I don't understand the shirt. It's Abbey Road.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm trying to make a connection. What's the connection between dinosaurs and Abbey Road? Is there something I'm missing? I want to know. I need to know. It's intriguing.
Yeah, they're both barefoot, not just Paul.
Okay, so they're both barefoot.
Maybe one of them we can't see is wearing shoes.
Is one wearing a hat or something, or a cigarette, or no?
Yeah, one has a hat and sunglasses. One just has sunglasses and a bow tie.
Okay, can you show the camera this picture? Maybe just turn around and just go to your right. Oh boy, hold on, you're in a bad spot there.
Yeah, you did that on purpose.
No, I didn't do that on purpose. You're just in a bad spot.
Yep, you rapscallion, you.
You snake tari.
Yeah, thinking of all sorts
snake
of
tari.
old terms, you know.
Here, I'll tell you where you got it. Let's see. Yeah, right there. That's a great picture.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. Walk up a little to the camera, a little bit closer to the camera. Right there. A little closer.
Yeah, keep going.
A little closer. And hold the snake up. That's a great picture. Oh my goodness! Look at the little snaky. Hi, Rogue. Hi, Rogue. Oh, look at Rogue. That's so cool. All right. This is fun.
That's a snake out of the grass.
This is, hey, honk yourself. Honk yourself. Hey, honk you.
Yeah.
Honk you.
Right.
Honk off.
Honking for home grow.
Honk for home grow.
This was the least windy day I think we've spent here maybe ever.
Great day. I love this day. This is so much fun.
If you measure days and how much duct tape it took to set up these signs, this is it. This is the bottom line.
Cannabis nurse Tricia, preach it. That's right. Shelby. All right, so thank you, Mad Hatter. We're going up to Mad Hatter. There's going to be a little event up at Mad Hatter. There's going to be a dab bar at Mad Hatter. Get yourself fatter at the Mad Hatter with Panoni's food truck. And buy some blunts that are fatter and some shatter at the Mad Hatter. There you go. Is that good?
Yeah, sounds good.
It's
Okay.
It's harder at the Hatter. Get harder at the Hatter. What? Ding ding. Where's my bell?
You need to get a picture of Rattari and
Rattari.
Oh, with you next to you. You're not. Really quite
you eat it.
Oh man.
All right. Well, thank you, Mad Hatter. We'll see you tonight at the Mad Hatter. There's going to be a dab bar. There's going to be food at Panoni's food truck for sure, and that's what I'm getting. I'm getting a fried pork chop, some rice and beans, and some plantains with shrimp in them. And we're going to do a strains and plantains tonight at the Mad Hatter, 845 Route 1 Avenue. Hey, guys, you got to pay me for this now. I want a joint. I want a joint for that commercial. Rob, I know you're listening, Rob.
You got one right in front of you.
That's from Marie and Moses. But okay, I'll take that as payment.
That was nice of her to do.
I know, she's a sweetheart. They're great.
When was the last time you saw
Years.
it? Yeah,
Years. I see them online, but that's it. Person was years. All right, so thank you, Mad Hatter. We'll see you tonight at the Mad Hatter. Get your shatter and your batter and your butter at the Mad Hatter.
You need a list. You got to get that down, man. Shouldn't be freewheeling it with that right now.
Lots of chit chatter tonight at the Mad Hatter.
Go AI and see what it comes up with.
You really want to do that, huh? All right.
No, I didn't really want to do it. I just said it. It doesn't mean I want to do it.
Jim. Damn it. What rhymes with Mad Hatter? What rhymes with Mad Hatter?
If it's like actually looking it up, it would come at 90% rhyme, 80% rhyme. You know, they would actually, you know, because it's not an exact technical, like lyrics to a song or like that. You know.
What the hell?
What?
Fine. You want all this? Here, listen.
It can't be done.
Certainly. Here are several phrases that rhyme with Mad Hatter, presented with some additional context. 1. Chatter. This word refers to light, informal conversation, often filled with gossip or small talk. 2. Clatter. This term describes a loud, discordant noise, typically made by objects striking against each other, such as dishes or footsteps. 3. Patter. This word evokes the soft, rapid sounds made by light impacts, like raindrops falling on a surface or the quick steps of a small animal. 4. Spatter. This refers to the act of splashing or scattering a liquid or small particles.
Yes, we know about the splatter. Get your splatter. Your shirt splattered.
Yeah. How long is this?
Creating a messy effect. 5. Batter. In addition to its culinary meaning of mixing ingredients, it can also denote the act of striking.
So there's more because they use ladder. I use ladder. They use latter.
Yeah.
Ladder is better than latter, I think. But whatever. Whatever, AI. Whatever. Great job.
You know, you want to go for a double, like a batter ladder. You know, something like really new. You know, like a double thing.
I hate all this AI shit.
Yeah, that's just an example of.
That wasn't helpful. That was not helpful at all.
Well, it just seems there's a lot of articles. I don't want to say articles. You know, if you went to like the Yahoo News or anything, no matter who they're getting it from, it seems to come with things that is obviously a lack of human intelligence. And
thank you, CMMNJ, UFCW, Arlo Glass, OprahMachine.com, and SativaCross.org, where you can donate to our 501c3. That's SativaCross.org. Our list begins with Cheryl, Sabina, Diane, Gracie, Cindy Mae, Marie, Jack, Joan, Randy, Holly, Bill, Chad, Jeremy, Colette, Matt, Troy, Russ, Roger, Jay, Ella, Hattie, Jackie, Anthony, Jake, Armando, Felicia, Lynn, Dan, Sean, Joyce, Lori, Frank, Brian, Flo, Carl, Thorne, Frank, Lorraine, Terry, Charlotte, Cher, Jay Bird, Michael, Marley, Colette, Brendan, Red, Rico, Lou, Becky, Lawanda, Chip, Paul, Lisa, Marcus, Gary, Julia, Wayne, and Jeff.
This concludes our podcast.
That's a good way to end that. Beautiful.
That's how we're going to end the podcast.
That's it. It's over.
Oh.
That's it.
August. We're back here in August at the State House. Fourth Thursday in August. And in Mad Hatter, the rest of the year. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Come up and see us at the Mad Hatter. We have a studio. You can come eat some food. You can smoke with us. The Dab Bar is always open On Tuesdays and Thursday nights at the Mad Hatter, there is a dab bar. Just got to, come in. Show up. Half the battle is showing up. So there you go.
It is.
Show up, you get stoned.
Well, it's not a tough gig sometimes, but it's the regularity. Consistency, some would call it tenacity. Even in people that aren't going exactly your way, like, for instance, the state police here, doesn't matter where they stand in line with us personally. They really like that we keep showing up. And that's evident, by the number of years. And
whoa. Thank you, John. Thank you, Rogue. What a sweetie. What a sweetie. I never met a snake I fell in love with. She's so nice. She's a sweetheart. She really is. She's a sweetheart. She just chilled out in my lap. She didn't pee on me. Or did she? I don't know. Maybe she did.
Yeah, we just didn't tell you.
Do I have a stain on me?
You don't do that where you can
Ew.
see it,
Ew, do I have? Ew. Okay. All right, guys. See you next time. We'll see you tonight, actually. We'll see you in a couple hours. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Thank you.
Yeah,
See you later for part 2.